Andy, get talking. You got 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get to the wheel. So
JK,
Right.
JK.
Go ahead, begin.
So Jomez, Onlyfans, grab the wheel.
Welcome into Unstable Discourse, baby.
hey,
Good evening.
yeah,
It's season 2, episode 5.
Nope.
strike that.
Nope,
Reverse
strike
it.
that.
I know
Reverse
what I
it.
did. I did it
Okay.
on purpose.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I already screwed it up once and you all corrected me.
Yeah.
It is season 5, episode 2.
That's the one.
We're back at Callahan Acres Basement. It is me, Alex Seminary of Tailwind Media, here with Ryan Fancher of Unstable Disc Golf Gear,
Yes, sir.
Sean Callahan, a.k.a. Connor Price of Delwood Disc Golf,
Your boy.
Jason Callahan of Bag of Tricks.
Hello, everybody.
Today we're joined by Andy Padula Oblongata
Heavy duty.
of some very interesting things that you are
We
of.
have come to find
That
out.
I
We
am.
have. We are coming to get to know you. The reason we were so compelled to have you on the show is because you are a former Jomez crew. So you're a videographer, content creator for disc golf. And do you want to tell people where you work today?
Yeah. So fun story. I decided to leave Jomez Pro and the Disc Golf Pro Tour after roughly 2.5, 3 years. And I ended up landing a job with Onlyfans. We can get into it later.
Yeah, there's a
It's
lot.
sick.
There's a
It's
lot to
pretty
talk
sick.
about.
We'll just let that simmer for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, your name is not Padula Oblongata. Your name is Andy Padula.
Yes.
But I can't not
No, it's fair.
hear that.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Padula.
Okay,
Yeah.
Padula. All right. 'Cause that's what I've been saying for a while.
So we have a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be talking to Andy about, like how did you get into Jomez? What was it like working there? Why'd you leave, et cetera? And what really goes into making disc golf coverage happen. There's so much that people don't know. Even though we've talked about it a few times on the show, I still feel like we've never gotten your perspective. So that's going to be awesome. And then, of course, we have the Deucer in the house with us as well. Ryan, please don't forget the sploosh sound effect. I noticed you forgot that in the last episode.
Stop doing that.
Sean sounds serious about not
She
wanting
legitimately does not like it.
that. That's a real shame because I like it a lot.
We know.
Before we get to the gin and juice of this episode, if you will, the main stuff. If you're listening for the first time, welcome. If you've been here the whole time, you're welcome. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
If you're here for the first time, you're welcome. Yes. If you've been here the whole time, thanks for being here.
What is this show?
Before we get to all the good stuff, let's start with what we're fired up about.
Fired up. I don't know what I'm going to do right when he says it.
We're going to have a talk.
Speaking of having to have a talk, that I was pretty happy with having some video content on the last episode. That was brand new for us. And that clip where you were talking about not drinking and you know what that means. I think people seem to like that.
No, I think you're right. I think it had to be said. I was a little overly protective dad about it, but
In a good way.
yeah, I feel strongly about that shit.
Same.
We'll have cameras on again today, by the way. Not the whole show. So if you're listening to this part is not going to be in the YouTube content. The YouTube content is just the gin and juice. It's just the main topic. The stuff that's kind of like for everybody in the disc golf world, whereas a lot of what we talk about before that is a little more local. So
Can I ask you a dumb question that I should know the answer to?
please.
Did you put the first episode up on YouTube?
No.
Okay. I was like, wait, is there a full...
No, I was intending to, but since and it's a learning process, right? So we had like different kinds of cameras, different lighting. It just didn't look very professional. And given how professional all the audio is that Ryan puts out, I didn't want to put out anything video that wasn't like the right standard.
Sure.
So we'll put out a couple clips. There's a teaser. We'll see how today goes because we're using different cameras, different angles, but eventually we will have the show on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Dope.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back to Fired Up. We don't have to do it again, but
I'll do a different one.
I like
That
the
won't
one
be
you did.
loud so I don't get...
Just go like this.
Oh boy, who's going first?
That was
today?
mainly for the laughs.
Good Lord. Me?
Jason. What are you fired up about?
Oh, what am I fired up about?
Flat tires.
Flat tires, yeah, unfortunately. I had a super weird Lauren Lakeberg incident.
Ooh, can't wait.
Over the weekend. Like one of those synchronicities. It's like, what am I supposed to take from this? All the time, I will randomly have a song just kind of pop in my head. And most of the time, it is a song that I have not heard in 20 plus years. It's not like I heard it on the radio or I was shopping and it played in there. It'll just be like this song that'll be like, where did you come from? What is that? Why is that just in my head? And this happened on Saturday. There was a song that had popped into my head and I could only like come up with a handful. There's not a Jolene at the end of this. There's no, this is,
I wasn't concerned yet.
Brian started staring at me.
I know.
What
I
is this
saw.
about?
I just wanted to
shift in Ryan.
I just
It was
wanted to
like,
This seems
preemptive.
legit. If this is Jolene, you're getting good.
No. I wish. There was a song that popped in my head, and like it was one of those like I had the lyrics, but I was like, oh, that's not everything. And of course, I don't know if most people realize, but there's a feature on Spotify that if you have just a handful of the lyrics, you can just type those in as the search, and it'll pull up the song for you. And so I did that, and it was a song by Eric Carmen. You guys know Hungry Eyes is what he was most famous for from the Dirty Dancing soundtrack.
I know him from South Park, but go on.
Yeah.
Not Eric Cartman, Eric Carmen. And I was like, oh, that is so weird. And it was a song that I hadn't heard in literally probably 25 plus years, but it was an Eric Carmen song. So I listened to it Saturday morning as
Now all I can hear is Eric Cartman singing Hungry Eyes.
yeah, it wasn't Hungry Eyes. Hold on.
Hey, you guys.
Sing along there.
The song is called Make Me Lose Control. So I listened to the song that morning.
Wait,
As,
wait. I'm not going to concentrate until I hear it. Sing something, and I think I know what it is.
Make me lose control. Baby, baby. Turn the radio up on that sweet sound.
Oh, that's a jam, dude.
absolute
Okay,
jam.
Yeah.
Keep that spinning alive. Make me lose control.
Absolute jam.
Okay.
And I'm like jamming out as I'm making pancakes Saturday morning. Monday, the news breaks
It's
that Eric
starting to
Carmen
feel-
died over the weekend. They haven't released what day he died, but Monday it was put on his website by his wife that he died over the weekend. And I saw the news and I Googled it and everything. I'm like, why did I have that song pop in my head?
His last jump from this ethereal plane was to go in through you while you were driving through traffic and then into the netherworld.
Yes.
Yes.
So
I'm
that-
telling you, it was so
So
bizarre.
he can exist forever in the UDU now.
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
right.
How crazy is that?
That's wild.
Yeah. It was just this
It
very
was-
bizarre thing. Yeah, I know. It
As
was.
the details, you were like,
Yeah.
I'm making pancakes. I'm like,
Like, okay.
this is a Jolene.
How did he
Yeah,
lose control with the pancakes?
Yeah.
Like?
Yeah, no, there's no. I wish there was.
So you're excited. You're fired up that this guy's dead.
I'm not fired up that he's dead. I'm fired up for it because I had this synchronicity happen that I'm like, and it's happening all the time now.
You are
like
you're tapping into your Lakeberg.
for about a year. I'm keeping my eyes open all the time, and I will constantly. I listen to podcasts while I drive all the time, and I will be driving and just look up at a billboard. And 2 of the words on the billboard will be said in the podcast the second I make content with that billboard. That kind of stuff happens to me all the time. And it's not just like a, an, and the. It immediately, I have this overwhelming sense of self. Okay, all right, I'm listening. What is it?
Yeah.
Like, you've got my attention.
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to take from this? But it,
The
like,
password is...
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out, but this was probably the most alarming one that I've experienced. Was I listening to that song as he was taking his last breath? Like,
Every time a song pops in your head now, you're going to be like, oh my
exactly,
God, they're dying.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're dead.
They're dying. Yeah.
I killed him.
Very bizarre. Yeah.
That's
So,
crazy.
That is crazy. It made me lose control.
You son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Just got to keep that
You
spirit
could
alive.
have
Spirit alive, yeah.
lose control. You got into an accident,
Right.
or you could have.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I could. That's
You
what
totally
I
could've.
You could have gone
Yeah.
there.
Andy, you can go any number of directions after that
Yeah,
whole story. So what are you fired up about?
I don't know that mine will truly follow that up in the same manner.
Nobody dies in your story, do
no,
they?
no one. Mine's a little bit more lighthearted. I just booked a trip for the middle of April to visit my friend in Montana. Never been.
Dig.
He's been in flight school for the last 3 years, and none of my friends or I have come and visited him
In the clouds.
Yeah. So we all kind of were like, man, we've never visited you and you're graduating in 1 month. So let's all go and experience Montana. So I will be there for like 4 or 5 days.
Are these disc golf pals?
A couple of them are. So my buddy who lives there, I actually got him and his girlfriend into disc golf last year. So they've been playing and they've scoped out some of the courses. So
And the rest of them are Onlyfans pals.
yes, the rest of them,
They're not friends.
Yeah.
They're only fans.
They're Onlyfans.
Only friends.
Only friends. Only friends.
yeah, only
good.
friends.
Only
That's
friends.
good.
We gotta.
TM.
I'm gonna cut that out so nobody steals that.
Yep.
Don't let my boss hear it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Hell yeah.
Play some disc golf, go hiking, or do whatever. He's also like really into poker, so I'm assuming there will be poker to be played. So
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, my only experience with Montana was driving from Pennsylvania to Seattle, Washington, and going through Butte, Montana. Butte, Montana, because I threw a rod in the engine of my car, and it was in January. In Butte, Montana. And we are stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Ooh.
And it's like 4 degrees outside. And we ended up having to call a tow truck, and I had to rent a U-Haul with a trailer on the back and tow it all the way from Butte, Montana to Seattle, Washington.
my God,
So-
that's so far.
Yeah, so Montana is forever tainted for me, and it's a shame because everything I see about Montana is amazing.
Well, needless
so-
to say, I'm not going to Butte, Montana. I
Yeah.
will be in Billings, Montana.
Okay. And also, I hope the engine in any aircraft doesn't throw a rod. 'cause-
I mean, after seeing all this news about Boeing lately, I mean,
yeah, right.
No
I don't know
shit.
how I feel about flying in general, but
Seriously.
hopefully we land.
Yeah.
I've been on like
And if
over.
not, it's with friends. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, what a way to
Just
go.
don't ever whistle blow and then just wind up mysteriously dead a couple days later.
Yeah.
True.
Right.
I'm gonna
What
keep
the
my mouth shut no matter what I see on that
Yeah,
plane.
For real.
Aliens in the back, whatever. Like
Yeah.
you,
It's cool.
you name
I didn't
it.
see nothing.
Yeah, no, we good. We good.
I mean, I've been on plenty of planes in the last few years with the Pro Tour, so
Sure.
I'm still here.
I saw a great post that said Boeing is the sound that the plane makes when it hits the ground.
Oh,
Jesus.
That's
Yikes.
yeah.
Anyways,
Can you put the sound of the podcast coming to a screeching
Yeah,
halt right
right,
after that?
Yeah.
Sean, what are you fired up about?
Just this morning, I asked all of the early birdies to come. Ryan's rolling his eyes, so now I'm super stoked.
No, I'm not.
to-
I am confirming that you did indeed do that.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's what that means.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's going to come over on Sunday, and we're going to start the process of installing the turf tee pads here at Callahan Acres.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Mhm.
You want to come over and film it?
Yes.
You can
I
do
think
that
I'm
if you
free.
want.
Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I'm pretty stoked for
Hmm.
that because I have had them now for, not quite a year, but this has been brewing.
There's a
I've
big
had
old pile of gravel
them-
back there.
Yes,
that I
I
saw.
got. I have all of the things. Very cool part of this. Former owner of Callahan Acres. He didn't call it that.
Which-
yeah.
What, he really dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Good thing you came out and picked up the ball.
So in the backyard, he was building a fort. He worked for ComEd, and there is a ton of materials still left over from said fort that he never got to finish. So I am utilizing all of those timbers for the framework for the T-pads. So this is like a very cool thing for me because in a way, I feel a connection to him that like he was like a kid at heart, like we all are, and he was going to build this fort and he didn't get to finish. So I'm going to take the materials.
And when he says fort, it's not like an
Yeah.
outbuilding. It's like a fort.
yeah,
Like something
Double
when
level,
you picture a 7-year-old drawing a fort, like that's
Yes.
what it was going to be.
it
yeah.
was telephone poles, 4 telephone poles that are like roughly 10 to 12 feet apart. The structure is there. Like I could continue building this fort if I wanted to, but instead I'm going to use some of this material for the T-pads. So that feels really cool to be able to like pick up where he left off type of a vibe. So I'm hoping that if he can see that, that's a cool thing. And to be able to do it with the guys. And I'm just excited. It's going to be cool.
I think it's really cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The owners of my old house left behind they like tore down the fireplace and they left one of the original stones of the fireplace like on the ledge of the window as like just a decorative thing. It looks fine, but I like having it there because it's like this connection to the people who were here
It's
before.
an homage.
Yeah, that's just cool.
Yeah.
So I get it. But now you could have had a survival fortress in the zombie apocalypse somewhere down the line.
And don't think I haven't thought about that too.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, I mean that's after the turf T-pads get done.
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll get to
I
it.
need to finish
Priorities.
what I started. Yes,
The
Yeah.
course first, survival later.
And since you worked at ComEd, there's like
we have time. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably.
there's like full electrical service back there. It'll be done
Like
right.
easy for glow rounds. There's like 4 massive streetlights in my yard.
I can't wait for the inevitable invite-only event.
Oh, that's what this is all culminating towards.
Mhm.
Sheila knows. I've already spent the last couple of years getting her prepared for that.
Mhm. We'll put it up on Onlyfans Live.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Hey,
Uh-huh.
guys, we're coming together
Yeah.
Exclusive
Great.
sponsorship.
That's the goal.
COMIN.
That's the goal. Yep.
Before we get too far away from that joke,
Thank you.
we had talked about Andy was telling us that we could set up our own OnlyFans as a podcast that people could subscribe to, and we don't have to do anything inappropriate. We can just keep doing exactly what we're doing. And so if ever the day comes where we want to do something like that, we're going to either do, Patreon, but why wouldn't we just do it on OnlyFans instead?
For sure.
It would be funnier.
Yeah.
Way
Much
funnier.
more funnier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But would our fans actually subscribe to us on OnlyFans?
Because of it, yes.
I know a few who would be down immediately.
Sure.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
Ryan, what are you fired up about?
I am fired up about gaining a little bit of perspective this morning. I was about a 3 out of 10 frustrated with the situation while I was printing because, to make a long story short, I've been watching episodes of NCIS from the very beginning. There are 20-some seasons, right? But there's only 15 seasons on Netflix.
Mm.
And once that was over, it becomes much more difficult without subscribing somewhere else.
Mm.
So I eventually found some other means on the internet to watch it. But that means that
OnlyFans?
through OnlyFans, yeah. It's on in the background of
We
some
have
of the
the
videos.
last
Yeah.
5 seasons.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Agent Gibbs looks way different, but yeah.
Agent Nips.
Yeah, Agent Nips, yeah. I was frustrated because I couldn't watch that on my television that I have directly in front of me while I'm printing. So I started laughing after a while because 20 years ago, we were stoked on a Saturday night to get like a VHS tape and put it in and watch it on a 19-inch television. And now I have 5 or 6 televisions in my house. I have 3 computers. I have a phone. I have internet everywhere. And I realized that not only was it super easy, I could just cast the video from my computer to the television, that whatever television I wanted.
Oh, sure.
It hit me in the moment like this wouldn't have been in our wildest dreams.
Right.
Not even for a second,
Mhm.
right? I could be watching it on every television I have and 2 computers and my phone at the same time if I wanted. I was just frustrated at how inconvenient I thought it was that I couldn't look directly forward instead of 90 degrees to the right on a different screen, right? And it was like, it hit me and I almost had to sit down and laugh at myself because I was like, how lucky are we that we get to do this? So it was a little bit of perspective to just realize
12-year-old you would tell you to shut the pussy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go play some Mario Kart. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. Like I had that almost out of body. Like if anyone could have seen how frustrated I was with how ridiculous that must have looked. Right. That how specifically I wanted to do just this very tiny thing, but all of the technology surrounding me
The
is
world
so
was
vast.
against you in that moment.
Yeah. So that's all. That's all.
And it's all magic. Like the technology is literally just like
Couldn't explain
try
it
and
to you.
explain how it works.
Couldn't
Yeah.
explain it to you if I had the
Yeah.
rest of my
Yeah.
life.
Right.
And there was at one point, like I looked to see what time it was, and I saw that I could skip to the next episode on my watch. Like, how ridiculous is this?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It was it was just fun.
But goddamn, you had to turn your head a little bit, huh?
Yeah. It was so
Maddie
stupid.
and I were just having a conversation about that because to try to explain to somebody that wasn't in their 20s during this very small period is so bizarre. We had physical media for like 3 years. We had digital media, and then it all just became streaming after that.
Mhm.
But for that like 03 to 06, 07 period,
Yeah.
where like we thought everything changed, oh, okay, 99 cents for a song on iTunes, click. Like albums, click. Like this is the future.
Mm-hmm.
They
I
got you.
Yeah, for that short window. And now,
Well, that's what paid for the new technology, though.
yeah, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah. It was just
Legit.
the iPod era, so real, but also like
How many ringtones did you pay for?
exactly
Totally.
gone.
Right? Yeah.
And now, if I hear a ringtone, I'm like, what the is
Oh.
wrong with you?
Immediately.
Right. Yeah.
Disgusting.
How dare you?
Yeah. Just very bizarre time.
I specifically remember buying. With my first girlfriend. I was like, oh, I've got to get a specific ringtone for her, and I couldn't think of a good song, but "Where Is the Love" by Black Eyed Peas was very popular, and it had the word love in it, so that was my ringtone for her. And looking back, it was clearly a song about the love being missing.
Yeah.
But I had to buy that
Foreshadowing.
ringtone for 99 cents.
Right.
That was
And you did.
Had to.
Yeah.
Had
Yep.
to.
I'm not going to wait for Ryan to ask me because I'm
Hey,
getting
Alex.
sick of that. I am fired up also about a trip. Liz and I are going to Cancun, well, Riviera Maya in April. Actually, you know what? I have 2 trips in April because we're taking a trip early in April. So I'm fired up about that.
Yes, we are.
Where are we going? Let's talk about that.
You brought it up. You tell.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the place we're going, honestly.
McLeansboro, Illinois.
And why are we going to McLeansboro, Illinois?
We are going to
Twofold
go
reasons.
check out Fox Prairie Disc Golf Course,
Mm-hmm.
which is new and highly rated, and people are ranting and raving. One of the people involved in the installation of said course came into the shop it was actually right around when we got back from Idlewild, and I was like, hey, we just got back from a trip where we did this thing, and we're looking to do it more. I think it would be awesome to come down and see you. And then Sheila, being smarter than all of us, said, well, there's also going to be an eclipse happening around April.
I keep forgetting about that part.
So we added those two things together and made a full-blown trip out of it. So we're going to go see that happen in Southern Illinois and check out a new course.
Yeah, and it just so happens that there are varying degrees of totality with the eclipse, and McLeansboro is dead nuts in the center. So it is very serendipitous.
Right.
Another
So-
Lauren Lakebergism.
We need to listen to Eric Carmen while we're going down there.
For sure.
And Lauren Lakeberg's coming on that trip
Lauren's
too.
coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, forget about my Cancun trip. I'm fired up about this.
Yeah. And that's coming.
Liz
I mean,
doesn't listen to this, does she?
that's only 3 weeks
God,
away.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's happening soon.
it's fair to be fired up about that now because it's
Totally
coming
fair.
up quick.
Yeah.
2 trips in April, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And no, Liz does not listen to the show. You can say whatever you want right now. Go ahead. What do you really think about her?
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
Liz, you're a queen. You are a queen.
Jason's like, I don't have time to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing drives her nuts faster than me listening to the show because we all talk at the same time and things like that. And she likes I'm Phoebe Judge. Really highly produced, educational or storytelling, and we're just hanging out. She instantly, like, her mood changes if I put the show on. So we can say whatever we want.
Nice.
She'll never hear it.
You know what drives me nuts?
Go on.
A steering wheel belt buckle. Damn it! I didn't say it right. A steering wheel belt buckle.
No, you got to start it all over.
No.
No. Yeah.
I'm in such a shitty mood over this flat tire. I'm trying so hard. You guys don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's almost time for that, actually.
It is.
Now that we're all fired up, let's get to the Callahallander rundown.
Callahallander Rundown, the holy shit, we're already 2 events into 2024 edition.
Whoa.
Ha, ha, ha.
Those are funny.
They're funny. GJTS TDTC. It's back on Sunday, May 5th. Registration goes live on Friday, April 5th at 7 p.m. on
DiscGolfScene.com.
You're damn right it does. This year, we will have a new captain, Mr. Mike Apostolou. Team color is yet to be determined. This is the 3rd event on the Greater Joliet Tour season, with 5 points on the line going to each player of the winning team.
I think it should be fuchsia.
What is fuchsia? Remind me. Is that like...
It's like a lightish, pinkish,
pink?
lavenderish.
Pink?
Yeah.
You would hate that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said.
It would be very funny if we told him that it was going to be any color that he had decided, and then
Yeah, sure.
we still did
It's
whatever we
5
wanted.
teams, correct?
No, 14.
4 teams.
4 teams. Okay.
Yes. Team Green, myself as
Yeah.
captain. Team Red, Ryan is captain. Team,
Reigning champion.
Thor.
Team Black is Thor, and since Leo Borowski has
TDB.
bowed out, we got Mike now.
TDB.
Trying
Anyway,
to think
I'm sorry. I didn't
of
mean
a
to
Green
interrupt.
No
Ranger
worries.
type scenario where he comes in and now the new guy is white.
Oh,
White?
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah. Oh.
Well, we did joke about how Mike is
White.
clear.
Is very white.
He is
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Mike,
So-
could it be clear?
Yes, team clear an option. That's right.
Can we? Could his jerseys just be like super?
Just no
like,
jerseys.
true,
Yeah.
like
Play
match,
skins.
Yeah.
like match. Where you
Emperor's
just see
new
straight
clothes
back.
type situation.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be so.
They just
good.
have to play skins.
Mike, we just figured out your color, bud. Here we go. Moving on to the next event. The fourth event on the Greater Joliet Tour season is the 21st New Lenox Open. Jason, hit me with the tagline.
New faces, new places, new Lennox.
Close. New year, new logo, new Lenox.
I
The
was
event
very
is
close.
on May 25th and 26th, and it is an AM-only event. Registration goes live on Friday, April 19th.
Good bread, good meat,
On-
good God. Let's eat.
On what website? On what website, Ryan?
Discgolfscene.com.
Good job. That is it. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. All of this unofficially brought to you by, again,
Discgolfscene.com.
Andy?
What? Come on, Pete.
Got it.
He got it.
I'm so glad
He
we
got
have
it. He was frozen.
He knew. We didn't all point to a sign. He knew.
We didn't point directly at him and then to a sign.
We need like a applause light sign.
That says,
I was like,
yeah,
they really
come on.
dropped the ball
Come
here.
on,
immediately,
sign.
yeah, like a neon sign that's right behind
around.
Sean. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, that's a wrap on the Callahallander rundown, and that means it's time for us to take a quick break. So you'll hear from our sponsors, and then we will be back to get into the gin and juice.
Yeah.
Hey, Disc Golf family, it's Andrew Weary with Redemption Disposal and Recycling. If you need a dumpster, we are your go-to local contact. Are you getting a new roof, remodeling your house, or doing some landscaping? Maybe you're just looking to get rid of the old junk to make room for your new hyzer racks and disc golf gear. Redemption Disposal's standard-sized dumpsters are large enough for most jobs. The 15-yard dump trailers are on regular tires and hauled by standard pickup trucks, helping avoid any damage to surfaces, allowing for tight maneuvering, and the compact style helps minimize any inconvenience to homeowners. Our convenient and speedy service is unmatched, all at a competitive price. You can find us on Facebook at Redemption Disposal or email admin@redemptiondisposal.com. We look forward to helping you out with your future projects, but until then, we'll see you out on the course.
All right, welcome back. It's time for the gin and juice. The main stuff about this episode, and we are drinking gin and juice.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
first
we are.
time.
We talked about it and it came to fruitation.
That's right, passion fruitation.
Passion fruitation. Yeah.
Damn it. He just said it faster. I was halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
Shout
drinking passion fruit, and it is good.
By Dr. Dre and Snoop.
Yeah.
5.9% alcohol by volume, and it's delicious.
Well, at least the passion fruit one is.
Oh yeah,
Citrus one is-
Citrus one is a little
It's a little oven cleanery.
oven
cleanery.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like melon. We didn't get melon, but I feel like melon would be.
Yeah.
melon might be good.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of a really dumb joke. What's brown and rhymes with Snoop?
Sounds pretty.
No,
racist.
it's
Dr. Dre.
yeah.
Oh my god!
Damn.
Got him.
You're
That's good.
welcome.
It was right in
That's
front of us.
Yeah.
So we are going to be talking. We are going to be talking about disc golf media production. But one thing I forgot to tell listeners at the top of the show is that we also have our fantasy Frisbee Analytics Reconnaissance tournament update for everyone.
We got a doozy for you.
And yeah, there's a lot that happened. So we'll cover all disc golf media production stuff, and then we got some wheels to spin.
So Andy, get talking. You got 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And then
Okay.
we're, yeah,
Now.
and
We got a
we're
lot
gonna
to
get to
cover.
the wheel. So
JK,
All right.
Where do I
JK.
begin?
So Jomez OnlyFans, grab the wheel.
You're not from this area, right? You're from
Correct.
New York.
I'm from Syracuse, New York.
How did you end up out here?
So my brother moved out to Chicago like 12 years ago, and I've just kind of been visiting him for the last 12 years. And then with my job with the Pro Tour, I was traveling a lot.
So I was going to get to you
Oh, yeah,
starting
yeah.
to work with the Pro Tour. How'd that happen?
At the time that I got the job, I was working at basically I was shooting commercials at a video agency in Syracuse. And
Anything we would know?
most of it's just like local companies. So,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I worked on car dealership infomercials,
the Carousel Mall.
like
Yeah.
it was a mix of like very cheesy stuff, like HR videos, and then
Mhm.
like really cinematic biopic stuff for like company. Like one of my clients was Stickley Furniture, and they're like 100+ years old, and we did like a full like 30-minute biopic on like the history of Stickley, and it was like super epic.
That
So
sounds cool. But what I'm picturing is the Wiz from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Nobody beats the Wiz.
So
Very much.
Nobody beats me because I'm the Wiz. Yes, I'm the Wiz. I'm the Wiz.
Yeah.
I can show you stuff afterwards.
That's just like that.
But this guy's name's Rob Senecal. He runs 2 car dealerships in Syracuse. One is Bridgeland Automotive, and the other one is Candy Cars. And his whole gimmick is that he's the guy in the suits. You know, if you know, because you've seen him on TV at think when you're growing up and you fall asleep, and then George Lopez is on the TV, and everyone's what the hell? And people are flown. Yeah, except it's him and his business partner wearing a themed suits doing a 30-minute car infomercial, and it's the most ridiculous thing.
I'm here for it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, actually, that sounds pretty great.
So those were real fun to shoot, but yeah.
But you were so you were doing this, and you were a disc golfer, I assume.
Yeah. So
how and why did you go after that job with the Pro Tour?
Funny enough, I actually didn't start playing disc golf until the pandemic. So I am very new to the sport.
What's the term for people who started playing during the pandemic?
COVID baby or something like that?
I think it's something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Go with that. I don't know.
Go on, COVID baby.
I mean, so I do have a background in Frisbee sports. So I did play Ultimate in college at UAlbany. So I wasn't, it wasn't foreign to me by any means, but I did not play until COVID. My brother actually came home for a wedding, and he had just gotten into it because of COVID, and we played around, and I was hooked, and I played, I think that was on a Sunday, and I played every day that week for my first week of ever playing disc golf, because I was like, I can get good at this.
But at that point, you weren't watching the coverage or anything.
No,
yet.
I didn't know anything. But within that week, I found Jomez real quick, because I was like, I gotta watch someone doing this on a higher level. And I knew it existed, but I didn't know that Jomez existed by any means.
So with all the other channels or platforms, I should say, out there, that's the one you gravitated to. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just looked up professional disc. I don't remember the exact query I put in, but Jomez was the first thing that popped up.
Sure,
and I saw
checks out.
Yeah,
and I saw how many
Jason
views.
Probably was right below it, but he clicked on Jomez first.
Yeah, I was right there.
Yeah.
Jomez.
On a totally different career.
You're damn. Yeah. I know I could have worked for you.
And you would have made some weird videos.
He's the guy in the suit.
He's the guy in the birthday suit. Yeah.
So I mean, I just watched that first video, and it was probably some tournament coverage or something like that, and kind of just kept paying attention. I was like, I want to get good at this, and I feel like this is what I should be watching if I want to try to emulate what pros are doing. So, which I'm sure a lot of other disc golfers could say the same. So I found Jomez a year before I got my job with them. So I'd just been following them or whatever.
But was it they posted saying we need, we're looking for people?
Yeah. So this is the interesting part. Cause a lot of people are like, I've been trying to get a job with Jomez. Why didn't I get hired? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it's well, the funny thing is I didn't apply for a job. I basically was on Instagram, and they had posted something on their story. It was one of those where you can put a reply into and they were asking about people with podcast experience, and it was very vague, open-ended. And I didn't know if it was are you looking for podcast ideas? Where is this going? And I had been running a podcast with my buddy who I ran a lifestyle brand for about 5 years with I've done a lot of stuff.
But I guess we're just getting the tip of the...
You were born in 1995, bro. How are you doing all this shit?
Entrepreneur at heart. I don't know.
Getting after it.
But so I've been running a podcast with my buddy. It's called Bindalism, a philosophy to a self-sufficient lifestyle. Just interview a lot of up and coming entrepreneurs, artists, creatives, that kind of thing, and just talk about their life, how they got into it, and then trying to draw parallel themes to help other people.
That's so
with their
cool.
Side
That's
gig
dope.
To get inspiration.
Yeah, I wish I would have met you sooner. That's
just
so
been
cool.
Couple
he ended up
miles.
here, though. So
I am here.
Let's see where this story takes us.
All right.
So, I was like, what the hell? I'll put in something brief, but that clearly shows I have podcast experience. So, I just said, hey, I don't really know where you're going with this, but I've been running the show for about 3 years. Let me know if you want to know more. And I put some details, kind of just explaining what the show was, that kind of thing. Didn't hear anything back for 2 days. And I kind of just forgot about that DM. I was just well, whatever. Yeah. And then I get reached out to 2 days later, and they're like, hey, we're really interested in what you sent to us. Could you give us more information about that? So
So
then I
cool.
gave them like the long version of
Yeah.
how I got into that, doing the show and everything. And within an hour of sending that, I was getting a message back like, hey, are you free like tomorrow or the next day to hop on a Zoom call to talk more about this? And I was like, sure. I mean, yeah, if I'm going to sit in front of whoever at Jomez, like,
I
who's going to
guess
say
so.
no? Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, what is going on right now? Like,
Yeah, I mean that had to have been crazier for you more like professionally in doing camera work and podcast work than disc golf.
yeah.
Because they weren't disc golf famous to you yet at that moment, right?
Not
like
really.
they were just you were
I
just
knew
kind of like,
they
oh,
were-
this is
like
a
I
thing.
knew they were
Yeah.
big in disc golf because of the media side. So for
Yeah.
me, it was more like, oh, this could be cool. Again, at this point, I didn't think this was like gonna lead to me getting a job.
Sure.
I was like, maybe they just want to talk to me about, hey, we're trying to get into a podcast and we would love to hear someone who makes podcasts to get some ideas and then run with it. I
You
was
were
like,
just kinda
whatever, you're Jomez, I respect you guys. Like, I'll give you free advice or whatever. I don't know. I'm asking like at that point, like a 25-year-old for advice.
You're like, I can make time for you, Jomez.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I sat down with them and it was Joe Henderson, which if anyone's familiar,
Yeah.
she's
Yep.
Canadian disc golfer, host of Approachable podcast. She's also done like Joe Back Thursdays with Jomez. It was her, Christina, who's Jonathan Gomez's wife or fiance. I forget if they're married or not.
Chromez?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That checks out.
And Juan, who was the CMO of Jomez, and he's no longer
Jomez.
involved.
Jomez.
Juan Garcia. And so I was just like, they introduced themselves or whatever, and then it quickly turned into a job interview. Within the first 2 minutes of this conversation, I was like, without them saying it in my head, I was like, I'm being interviewed for a job right now.
Yeah.
I gotta
was like,
pause right here
holy shit.
because it's such a story of like modern communication and like the way this generation operates. Like you didn't go up to a desk and say, here's my resume, I'd like a
Right.
job. It wasn't even like, here's an email. It wasn't even them saying, do you want a job? Literally just slid in the DMs, dropped some bait, still not you saying, I want a job,
Right.
just communicated in a cool way. They were like, I'm interested, tell me more. And then suddenly you're in a job interview.
Yeah. Which I mean,
It's
in
a
my
vibe.
opinion,
It's a vibe thing, man.
Yeah.
That's
think-
all it is.
exactly.
Like I haven't met you until tonight. I'm still working on whether or not I like the vibe.
Vibe and questions. We'll see.
This is almost like a second interview
Yeah.
for me. But no, like
This is an interview, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to see if you want to work for the show.
yeah, and get paid zero money. But yeah, I think getting the vibe check is like so much more valuable than a resume.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, who cares what you had done? You want me to put I worked at Pep Boys for 3 months when I was 19? Like,
Yeah,
who gives
right.
a f?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The vibe check thing that a lot of people don't even think about is like, if you send a big ass block of text trying to explain everything,
Mhm.
you've already failed the vibe check.
Yeah, totally.
Nerd.
You're saying too much, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're
That's why I
doing
left
too
it
much.
brief. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, like I'm leaving it as open-ended as you left your open-ended
Sure.
statement. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I wasn't the only person who responded to it.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I never actually asked them, like, did anyone else respond? Or was I just the only one who was like
Sure.
actually legitimately running a podcast?
Oh, I can
at that
guarantee
time?
with how many followers
I would
they got
feel
a
like
ton of
someone
response.
definitely
Sure.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, that's just fascinating to me. I think the way people date now is like Tinder. Like you just drop quick messages and you see if they respond and you can get a back and forth going. Like people are getting jobs now the same way you're dating. It's wild to me and it's very cool.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I got interviewed. It went really well. And basically, by midway through this interview, it was clear to me what I was being interviewed for. So the podcast thing, they wanted to start a new podcast, which then became Approachable.
Oh,
Which,
okay.
if anyone who listens to Disc Golf Podcast, I ended up becoming the producer.
None of our listeners listen to this
Yeah.
podcast that I know of.
For sure.
I
go.
became the producer of Approachable Podcast to start with Jomez. It was initially like, you are just going to work on this.
So it
as
wasn't
like a
even
contractor.
video.
Nope. It was like, we have this show idea. We want to do it. We've done Jomez before, but that was like via Zoom. It wasn't really, it was kind of like a weird podcast
Yeah.
thing, but we're not really doing it right now. But like, kind of maybe want to resurrect it. We want to see where this goes first.
They wanted somebody with a vision.
Yeah. And so they're like, here's our idea. It's Joe and Paige Pierce. It's going to be the female perspective of, professional disc golf or just disc golf at large. And like, we have ideas, but like you have the experience of like how to make a podcast well structured.
Yeah.
How to tell a host how to host and then, put it all together.
How am I doing, by the way?
I mean, I like this show a lot. I didn't really know about it until I came here anyway. So
Okay, fair enough.
without saying it, they basically were, by the end of this conversation, we're like, we want you to do this show for us if you're down, which obviously I was being very obvious that I was excited to even be sitting in front of them talking about
Sure.
this.
It'd be really hard not to.
Especially once they said Paige was involved, I was like, I mean, shit, if I'm going to be one-on-one with Paige in a very short amount of time, I mean, people have been playing disc golf for 20 plus years and haven't gotten a one-on-one with Paige before. So
Right.
in my head, I was like, I know a lot of people be rolling around in their bed, like thinking about that opportunity. I was like, I gotta just see where this goes.
You were 25 at this time?
I think so.
And you weren't really tied down. You had this other job, but it was
like right before my birthday. So I was still 25. I was about to turn 26.
I'm just thinking about the other commitments you had going on and whether it meant like, this is going to be a huge change for me, or was it like
at 26 commitments don't exist?
That's what I'm checking for.
I mean,
basically,
the way it was proposed to me was that it wasn't going to be a full-time job, and I was like, well, I definitely have free time in my outside of work. I was like, I'm doing this lifestyle brand, I'm running my own podcast. So it's like I have time, like especially for Jomez, like
that's insane to me.
So
I'm running this brand and I'm producing the show, but I got plenty of time. What?
I was like, I'll find a way to make it work. I don't know, because I mean, when else am I going to get the opportunity again? Maybe never.
Yeah.
And
you were just blown away by the presentation, by everything, and you were like, of course, no brainer. I'm going to go join this thing.
I mean, because in my head, I was like, running a podcast in my brain is very simple for me to do from start to finish, and I was like, yeah, if you already have the idea and I just have to execute it and maybe put my own tweaks into it or put my own suggestions in there, like great. I don't have to come up with the idea. I just have to make it happen.
How did you end up jumping from this job into being a guy with the camera on tour traveling?
Right. So that's kind of I would say the meat and potatoes of like my whole existence with the Pro Tour and Jomez is that
it's a gin and juice. Go on.
So when I agreed to do Approachable, within 2 weeks of me agreeing to do that, we hadn't even recorded an episode yet, but I had some meetings internally with a couple people and Paige and Joe, and it became clear, like, okay, we made the right choice. Like, Andy's definitely the person to do this thing. Juan basically called me randomly after work one day, was like, hey, so really excited about where the things are going. I like the conversations. I think we're going to really do well with this. I have an idea that Jonathan and I have been talking about for a little bit, and now that this is kind of coming together, wanted to just see what your thoughts are. And I was like, yeah, sure. Running a podcast is cool and all, but like we kind of have bigger vision of doing more than one podcast. Where do you see yourself in the next like month or two?
Surprise, you're in another interview.
Yeah, basically. And he was like, where do you want to be in the next few months? Like, where are you at with your job? Like, just trying to get the temperature of the room. And I was like, well, you know what? Like, I like my job, but at the same time, at that point, I wasn't really getting paid what I wanted to be getting paid. And I was not necessarily shopping around, but I was starting to think about it. And now that this was happening, I was like, I could sort of get the drift that this is going to become a more like, do you want to come on full time? So I was like, well, so I kind of said the things to give him a little trace of like where I was feeling. And then he was like, all right, well, we definitely would be interested in just giving you a full-time offer if that is something that you're interested in. And I was like, when would you want me to do this?
Yeah.
I was like, I could put my 2 weeks in tomorrow. Like, I mean, if you're going to make it worth my while. And he's like, well, we can talk numbers and stuff like that afterwards. Now that I know where you're at, let me talk with Jonathan, blah, blah, blah. So after a couple of days,
negotiating
he's like,
right out of the gate.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I mean, again, like, when am I going to get this opportunity again? I'm going to just see where it goes. Again, I didn't even expect to get a full-time offer. I thought this was just going to be work on this show. It's going to be a side gig. Cool. I got to work with Jomez.
Yeah.
And now I'm being offered to work for Jomez. I'm like, holy crap, this is getting better.
It's still fascinating to me being in disc golf before all of this and seeing the rise of disc golf media in general and seeing Jomez, like I still can't wrap my head around them doing that full time.
Yeah, right.
Even as like owning Jomez itself and being the dudes, like they still have 9 to 5s and do this on the weekends. That's how I picture it, because everyone that disc golfs also does that. You know, as serious as and as big as we want this sport to be, I still can't see people making a living doing this. So when you're saying not only are they doing it, but they're offering you a full-time position, this isn't real life.
Right.
Yes, like I want everyone to feel that way because that is where disc golf media is going. But we'll get into it at some point in this conversation. It definitely was this is too good to be true
Sure.
situation that I was more like too naive at that point to know that this maybe wasn't as amazing as I was thinking it was going to be.
Sure, you can't really make that move or play it that way unless what you have is an early 20-something, somebody who's going to be excited and doesn't necessarily have all of the foresight to think all of it through.
Right.
Like that's an opportunity a little bit.
There were definitely questions that in hindsight, I wish I had asked beforehand. Granted, I don't regret my time spent at all. Like it's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do. And I think a lot of people would agree they would drop what they're doing to have an opportunity like this. So
and you're so many years old. Yes.
Yeah, right. So I was like, I mean, I don't want to like at any point in this conversation, I don't want to like talk bad about anyone, but there were things that were not necessarily brought light to until I was like deep in the situation.
Yeah,
sure.
Which I mean probably happens to a lot of people when they start a new job. They don't know
in all industries forever
until
exactly. You know,
yes, it is. It's all a negotiation. It's all of you kind of got to do what's in your best interest as a person who's leading an organization, and it's on the individual to do what's in their best interest as well. So there's definitely a song and dance, and everybody has had that. I don't want to say wool pulled over their eyes, but that like you didn't really know what was up until you were too deep.
Well,
into
what
the job.
sounds amazing when you're 25 as opposed to 29 is
that's true too.
If you are doing it right, which you are, sounds very different.
Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, I said,
what did that job offer end up looking like? Just ballpark it for people who are like, having that same fantasy of, if I can work for Jomez, but like, help us understand what did your work life look like? What did the compensation look like? Whatever you can talk about.
So, I got a small pay bump from what I was working at. So I think I ended up at like 52,000 a year was like the offer.
That's pretty great at 25.
Just do podcasting.
Was okay.
This is where like at first I was like, this is amazing. And then after that first year, I quickly realized this is not sustainable. For what I was bringing to the table and what I was being paid just didn't match up. And in my head, I was like, this has to end at some point, right? Like, or something's going to change, which I'll get there. It did. Spoiler alert. It did. But I did get to do I lived like one of the coolest years of my life. Maybe something that a lot of people will never get a chance to do is get paid a full-time salary to work half the amount of time that a normal person would work.
And when you're doing it, having probably a blast.
Oh my God. Yeah. And like, meeting just like every pro you could think about, like making true relationships with these people, traveling, like, and working maybe 20 hours a week at most.
The experience that you got cannot be overstated. The best job I ever had in my life, I was making like $90 a week as a camp counselor. And I was working 24 hours a day, essentially.
Yeah, right.
But like those summers where I was working harder than any other time in my life, getting paid less than I ever got paid, the experience I had, like those are some of the best times of my life. And if I didn't have a million other responsibilities, I would go back to a job just like it in a heartbeat.
Right.
So I want listeners to take that in. Like, if you have an opportunity to do something really cool and maybe you're not going to get paid or compensated exactly what you want, you got to weigh the value of the experience because the window gets smaller and smaller.
Which, mind you, I did ask for more money, but I didn't know how much I thought more was going to be presented to me. Like, here, we're going to tell you things that you're going to be working on. It quickly turned into like, no, like you're going to just figure it out. You're going to build out a podcast department for Jomez.
Oh, wow.
but like, we don't have the budget to pay you what you want, but we'll get you there. Whatever. We agreed on said contract. I put my 2 weeks in, and everyone at the office that I was working at knew I was like obsessed with disc golf at this point. And, so when I told my boss, like, hey, this is nothing about me having any animosity to you guys. Like, honestly, I wasn't even really truly convinced that I wanted to leave at like a short term time frame. And I was like, this is just like a too good to not do. And literally everyone was like, no, we get it.
Yeah,
this sounds like a freaking dream job, dude. Like,
run, don't look back.
Dude, And he's like, I know you're putting your 2 weeks in. He's like, if you want to start sooner or whatever, like, just finish this week out and then go. Like,
sounds like
that's
a good
fine.
boss.
Mm-hmm.
And they also said, hey, if you want a job in the future, if that doesn't work out, my own
That says a lot about you.
Yeah. And I mean, unfortunately for them, I guess, if they wanted me back, I probably won't, just because I don't want to be in Syracuse anymore. I'd lived there my entire life, and it was just time to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this job, and it started with approachable, but then quickly after I agreed to do full time, it became, well, we need you to start working on more than just approachable. So then it became, we want to do Jomez, which if you watched on their YouTube channel from like 2 seasons ago, we did like a 4-part series, and it was the full recapitalization of like 10 years of Jomez. I produced that entire show. So that became like a whole other thing on top of, which was fine, because like I needed to fill my time. So
your full commitment to everything they were asking you to do is about 20 hours a week, and you were getting paid about $52K.
Yeah.
That's
with
awesome.
benefits, like the whole thing. Yeah.
They're with benefits.
Yeah. I knew at some point in that, after I got through the honeymoon phase of it all, I was like, this is not real life.
Like,
right?
it's too good to be true.
Like, every time I told someone what I was doing and like how much time and all of those details, are like, what? How?
Sure.
Like in disc golf? Like they
Right.
have money for that?
That's the biggest. That's the biggest piece. Like in disc golf, there's those resources. What?
Which, I mean, they were asking solid questions in disc golf. They have that money. I was like, I think so. They're paying it.
The checks are cashing.
Survey says.
Right. So, and funny enough, someone else in the Syracuse disc golf community got hired at the same time I did, which was very weird. Like, I don't know how it lined up this way, but they had a social media position open. This guy that I had not met before, but I knew his dad through playing disc golf. He like made a whole video applying to work for this job, and he was the only one who did this like extra thing, and they hired him. He didn't last very long because they agreed to pay him like $65,000 a year, and they quickly realized, we, 1, don't have a structure for this position, and 2, we can't afford that. So he lasted like a month.
Oh, wow.
And when that happened, I was like, uh-oh.
Sure.
Because I was like, I've never seen someone get turned over that quick.
Yeah.
And not because of like the work they were doing, but because they were like, we f***ed up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have to like kind of blindside him. I know this is like a dream job for him, but like, we can't.
That's just growing pains, man. It's a brand new organization, like literally figuring it out as they go. And you have to take some chances if you're going to do good shit. And if you want organizations to be doing big, dope things like at the highest level, they have to take some chances.
Exactly. And but
yeah, that must have just made all the ground under your feet totally shaky.
I definitely was like asking around, like, do I need to worry?
Sure.
And everyone's like, no, like they're like, the problem with that position was we maybe didn't really need another social media person, because we already have one. They just didn't have it all fleshed out yet, and I think they just jumped the gun too fast, and it just didn't work out right. My position was different because I was already working on several shows that were structured. They knew what was going on, and they knew full well with these 2 shows, like, there's nothing in the works to make money off of these shows. Maybe Jomez gets like views on YouTube, but like, we are doing this solely to just create more content, to bring more eyes on Jomez, and hopefully that'll
turn into money.
Right.
What is that? That's one thing that I don't really get. Like, if you start to promote, let's say we were to promote the crap out of the show, this Unstable Discourse, we put a bunch of resources into making sure we got a ton of more eyes. How does that
make money?
How does it mean more money?
So it doesn't,
because it's not. It's not going to be the number of views.
You go to
on YouTube.
unstablediscourse.com and you buy a hat and a mug and a disc and a jacket.
Basically, it's, can we get more eyes on the Jomez website buying merch? Do we need to land sponsors for this show? Which I was like, I've never gotten done sponsor deals before, and I was like, hopefully our sales team can help me out with that, because that's not my thing. I'll help, but like, I don't know what I'm
the
doing.
sales
Like,
motion is a whole thing.
right.
That's
I was like, I'm trying to
somebody's whole
produce
thing.
a whole show, let alone try to like schmooze some disc golf like CEO to give us money to a show that's never happened before and like convince them it's going to be worth their time. So eventually I did end up actually getting there, but not through, actually it was with Approachable, funny enough, but it mainly was because Joe and Paige are both on the Grip team, Grip EQ. And so Grip was basically like, well, we're already invested in them, so we'll just throw you guys a bone. And so they actually made that show, although we weren't making like a lot, but we were making more than it cost us to run the show. So we were kind of
Okay.
like slightly more than breaking even on that. That last season that we did that was sponsored by the first season wasn't sponsored by anyone.
Is that
So
still happening, or is that we're on
These-
chapter 2 of Andy, and
I
he's talking
want
about chapter 12
all
now?
of
I
these-
can't wait. I can't
like,
wait.
I want all these things to continue to live, and they know that I am still very much interested in being involved in
Yeah.
that stuff. Although I'm not working, full time anymore. I put it out there to Jonathan. I was like, hey, I know I'm not like on tour anymore, whatever. But if the time ever comes where these things can still exist, like, please, like, let me know. Like, I mean, I basically brought them up from birth. So to me, it means a lot to me to still be able to like work on them if possible.
Right.
Essentially did those first 2 shows. And then I just kind of took it upon myself to start thinking about what other shows can we do?
How do you make yourself
Right. I was
not,
like, because in my head, I was like, I'm not
irreplaceable.
like putting in that much time. I'm
Yeah.
getting paid a lot. And I know some people would just like sit back, never say a thing about it. Like, this is so great. I'm just going to write it. And I was like, no, I really do like proving that I am bringing something to the table. And I'm not just like, I'm sure at some point someone might be like, how much is Andy making?
I think you're
Right?
smart to proactively consider that because
And that
especially
goes a long
given-
way too. Like, people
Well, and
respect
that is
you
very
a lot more.
contrary to the typical disc golf mentality. Just ride it until it dies and then figure it out from there is a
Right.
big disc golf attitude. So good for you.
And I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, you are of a certain generation that the whole globe is going, oh, you guys don't want to work. So getting after it and securing the job security is like, yeah.
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 And
Good for you.
Please.
This leads me into the next thing, which is where patent pending that became a thing. I basically had DM'd Jesse Stedman like a year before.
Who's Jesse Stedman?
He is Jesse from Trash Panda.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool,
So
cool,
I
cool.
had messaged, most people don't know his last name, and I don't know if he wants his last name, but whatever. I said it. So sorry, Jesse.
This show is everywhere, so everyone's gonna hear
Yeah,
this.
true.
All
So
12 of
I
us.
had messaged, I had been following Trash Panda since the beginning of Trash Panda existing. Like, I found his like first video. He hadn't even had another video out yet. It just kind of, once you're on YouTube looking up disc golf stuff, you just stumble on random stuff. I was just like, yeah, I really like how he presents himself, what he's trying to do. It really fits like with my convictions and stuff. So I was just like, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And one day I messaged him on Instagram about something random he had posted. And I was like, I said something to him. I could probably pull it up and like say it verbatim. I don't want to like butcher it, but I said some compliment to him that like,
I can't stop thinking about you, kind of thing.
yeah, pretty much. It's like, dude, I'm in love.
Slid in the DMs.
You remind me of Jason Callan.
Or no,
Yeah.
you were the sustainability king of disc golf or something like that. Like it, it was just like off the cuff. And he was like, dude, that's like one of the nicest like compliments I've gotten. Like, he's like, I'm not just saying that because you're saying it to me. Like, I seriously. And that was the only time we interacted. It was like just a quick back and forth, like, cool. Fan said something cool. Now I have this job with Jomez. I'm like, wow, I got the world in my hands. I was like, I could truly reach out to, people making stuff in disc golf, and like, they might actually talk to me because I'm working with Jomez. My boss, Juan, was like, hey, like, we are open to doing other shows. So like, if you have any ideas, whatever. And I was like, well, I do have an idea. Actually, I was like, would you care if I reached out to Jesse from Trash Panda? He had just posted something on Instagram saying he wants to start a podcast. He's asking his fans, what should I make my podcast about?
No brainer.
So I was like, low hanging fruit. I've already he's like, well, have you like talked to him before? And I was like,
I call him the sustainability king.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I was like, sort of. So like, we'll see where this goes.
We're talking.
Yeah. He's like, I mean, give it a shot. Like, so I just reached out and I, again, kept it sort of open-ended, but I was like, hey, this is who I am. And then he saw the previous message
Sure.
that we've had. And he's like, oh my God, that's you, like putting 2 and 2 together. But it was like a quick, like, yeah, I don't know how we do this, but yes, I want to do a show with you guys. Like,
So you were kind of making your own lane a little bit.
I mean, they basically said you are creating a department that does not exist in our company. We don't know what we want to do with it. We're hoping that whoever we hire to do this will figure it out for us.
I'm going to try and fast track us a little bit because we have a couple other big points of the story I think we want to get to. How do you get from, making really great stuff, being compensated really well, enjoying the ride, to I'm not sure if this is right for me anymore?
So that kind of comes back to answering the question you asked before, which is how did I go from just doing podcasting to then filming, doing other stuff? Again, money became clearly an issue as I got towards my like 6 months in the job. That's kind of like a good like point where you start to know a little bit more about the ins and outs of a company.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to realize, like, being on tour to a few stops that I got to go to, I got to meet the touring guys and like hear their thoughts about like, oh, because you think like, oh, they probably love their life and everything. And you quickly realize how stressful this job truly is when you are sitting in that room watching the beginning of the night when all of the footage is coming in to the end of the night when everyone goes to bed at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, oh, geez. And like, I was just sitting there observing. I don't have any responsibility these nights. Like, I was there to do other projects, as any fan will do. I'm going to sit, I'm going to watch Nate, German, Yuli do their thing. This is so like, it's just all
like
happening in front of me. It's just like
with the band,
right, I'm just fly on the wall.
Yeah, that's right.
Basically, quickly realized like, holy shit, this is like, there's so much stuff going on. Everyone's like, clearly has anxiety and they're just like, we got to get this stuff edited in time to get it put together for the commentary so that we can run commentary, and then we have to export it and then get it ready to master and then export and then onto YouTube. Like, there's just so many moving parts that I don't think people realize. And so when we don't read the comments. That was like a big, like, please try to refrain from reading the YouTube comments because you will quickly make your day worse.
Yeah.
Because
you're going to quit. You're going to quit.
There's so many ungrateful disc golf fans who love Jomez, but then the second something doesn't go perfect, they're the first one to be like, oh my God, you messed this up. Or why didn't you, why didn't you post it exactly at the same time you did yesterday? Or you're not seeing everything that's going on. And so it's just so easy for you to keyboard warrior and make us feel shitty. I'm like, dude, we are giving you free disc golf content, free. Like,
right. And people are putting their heart and soul into it.
Oh no, you had to wait 2 hours to watch
and it's
this?
something that we've said forever is we not only do we not need next day coverage, we don't deserve next day coverage.
Correct.
Like,
spend a couple days. Wednesday, the first round comes out from, the Thursday before. Something like, it's not a big deal, but the race to end your sanity started and the wheels were in motion and it couldn't stop. And now this is the end result.
Right. So, I mean, this is I've had this conversation with Jonathan before. Like, he was like, yeah, I opened a door that I couldn't close.
Sure.
Because once that became the standard, everyone else started doing it. He's like, I can't not do it now.
Can't not do it.
Because then Gatekeeper's going to be the next Jomez and we're
going
to
to
become
team
obsolete.
Of people will kill themselves
like,
to
if they can withstand the amount of work.
Right.
Sure.
And he knew we were also putting out the best product at that point anyways. He's like, I don't want, no offense to Gatekeeper or any of the other media, like what they do is still like super valuable, but it was clear at that point that, Jomez clearly like quality editing, like the whole thing, it was just better. And if we let a Gatekeeper become the new standard, it would drop the quality, not like a crap ton, but like it would be visibly different.
Right. And instead of drinking Coca-Cola, we'd all be drinking RC.
Can't even pay our bills, and they're drinking Royal Crown Cola.
Right. And maybe not RC, but like,
how dare you?
Fago.
Yes, we get the point you're trying to say. But yeah. So yeah, it was just like, we have to do this thing. So seeing it from behind the scenes the first time was like, okay. Like, one, this is very stressful, but also finding out that like we're financially not doing super well was like, why? Like,
how did you find that out? Was Jonathan pretty transparent with the people in the organization about it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it became a problem when like there was payroll issues
Like, your
that
check
that
wouldn't be
did
there when it was
come
supposed
up
to be
at
there.
one point, and I really like, again, like I don't want to like put anyone on a hot seat. Like
I'm sure nobody ever meant for it to happen.
Jonathan will be the first to admit, he's like, I never intended on being a business owner. He's like, I was a disc golf player, a disc golf fan. I love disc golf. I like making videos. This became bigger than what I ever imagined it would be. And there were decisions that were made that someone who had past business experience may not have made. Unfortunately, that was not the situation.
Sure.
And I'm sure if you talk to a lot of first-time business owners or people who are now in like their fifth business will be like, yeah, my first business failed terribly.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe it was great for like 5 years, but then it eventually just, came to a unfortunate end.
And every time it ends, you learn, and your next
Exactly.
business doesn't make those same mistakes.
And so basically there were just financial decisions that were made to hopefully get Jomez to a point where it would get bought by someone bigger. And unfortunately, that situation didn't really happen until it was like more like we need to be bought or we're going to cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my job changed, because it became like a one-time situation. Payroll was missed and we got paid like 2 weeks late, and we were only getting paid once a month. So we got our whole lump sum the beginning of the month.
That's big.
So when everyone's not able to pay their rent for 2 weeks, or like, they
That's a
pay
level
their
of
rent, but then they're
stress.
just strapped. It was like
Yeah.
a very dire situation. And
it would be very easy to be put in that situation and then go, I can't let that ever. I don't want to have that ever happen to me again.
right. And I definitely was like, holy shit, this has never happened before. It never even, in my knowledge, ever been close to happening before. Like, what went wrong here? And that's when everything started to really kind of come to the surface. Like, this is a situation that will never happen again. Jonathan made that very clear. He's like, if that means I don't, like, if I have to give you guys my own personal money, whatever, like to make sure this doesn't happen again, like I'm going to do that, because I don't want you all losing your jobs.
Gangster. Love that.
And so, like, I respect the shit out of Jonathan Jomez. Like,
Yeah,
he is
of
like
course.
a great friend to me. And that moment, I was like, I don't know how I would have reacted if I was in your shoes. Granted, like, it would have been a lot of like reflecting of, damn, I made some poor decisions that led to this, but whatever, like, shit's in the past.
Sure.
But essentially, to give people, because probably like, well, what are these financial decisions? Think of things like the putting game. Why do you think we do not see the putting game the last like 2 seasons? That shit's expensive. You try booking out the Mall of
Renting it
America
out.
Yeah.
and then make literally none of it back.
Yeah, right.
Think about how expensive it is to book the Mall of America. I don't know the exact number. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars
Sure.
to do a video that was entertaining, and it may be evergreen content. Like, you can go on Jomez and go watch that. Like, how many people are truly going back and like rewatching it? It wasn't viral or by any
even
means.
one of those jumpy houses for a couple hours,
Right.
Like, just to get a 7-year-old in one of those is like $60 for 2 hours. So
Yeah,
I
right.
can't imagine like renting a whole place out for that
yeah,
much.
and it wasn't just Mall of America too. Like, we went to so many different places, and maybe some of the breweries were a little bit more nice to us about it. But any of the bigger name places that we did were expensive.
They were like, what's Jomez?
Right. And I mean, think about the Mall of America. They are used to having all of these people out shopping and stuff, and they had to tell people they can't come to the big money making area, like the roller coasters and all that stuff, for like these shoots take like 4 hours to shoot. So that's 4 hours that we have to pay them to use this space. And on top of that, the person who was producing it was a previous Jomez employee, now contractor. He's charging Jomez quite a big fee to be the producer of this show. So he's charging us a lot. They're charging us a lot. We are making basically nothing off of this.
Sure.
That's how you lose a lot of money, and you don't get to pay your employees on time.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, that multiplied by a bunch of things.
They're taking lots of chances and seeing what sticks. And
I mean, that's like one of several things that happened. But that was a big one that stuck out. It was like, damn, like thinking about it now, I'm like, no one was budgeting for these things. Or like looking down the line, like, this might come back to bite us in the ass if we don't like get millions and millions of views on this video.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or get like a big sponsor to shell over some money. So when this payroll thing hit, we quickly were like, well, what are we going to do about it? And that's when the Pro Tour started to become a part of the fold. At that point, there were already some preliminary talks of the Pro Tour talking to Jomez about buying us out, because that's just where disc golf media is going. Ultimately, they want to own the entirety of what pro disc golf is. And I think a lot of people have kind of felt that way. And yeah, that's basically what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, the PGA Tour owns
exactly
its own production company.
It's just the natural life
works.
cycle of how this shit works.
Yeah.
And they were like, we want to buy you guys out because we want to do right by Jomez, because without you guys, we don't exist in the form that we are.
Totally.
Then it was like, okay, we need to make this conversation go a lot faster because X, Y, and Z are happening.
Sure.
Shit's going to hit the fan real quick if we don't figure this out. That was like a really, really messy year.
How long were you with the Jomez in total?
I mean, to the end. Like I still strictly was still like listed as
was
a
it like a 2-year
Yeah,
chapter?
like 2.5 years. Yes, I did become technically on paper a Pro Tour employee after the acquisition, but I was still working for Jomez, doing some stuff for the Pro Tour, like specifically like DGN and stuff. But mainly, it was Jomez specific like work.
So I feel like there's so much more time we could spend getting the details. And
we need an Andy part 2.
As a listener, I just want to hear you keep telling me stuff. But as a person who's making this for other people, let's get to the end. Like you parted ways respectfully, but like talk us through that. And then yes, I think a Andy part 2 in the future.
Yeah, no brainer.
Much could make sense.
Yeah. My interview with you has gone well enough. I think. Yeah.
It's good at interviews.
So far, don't push it.
Like I said, I didn't run a podcast for a while.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So when the acquisition happened, basically they told me I was going to lose my job if I didn't become a full-time touring. It was like a black and white, like podcasting is going to stop happening after you finish the episodes that have already been agreed upon. Mm-hmm. We do not have money for that anymore until this gets like brought back to even.
Sure.
Because the Pro Tour is like, we're taking on a lot of debt that we need to figure out how to not be debt anymore.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out how to structure you guys, make you a part of our thing. Like it was messy. They eventually figured it out. And then they were like, hey, you either come on tour full time or we're going to have to lay you off, unfortunately. And, at that point,
go on tour full time meant being a cameraman and like also editing and stuff.
Yeah, like I was very deep in like editing. I was the gatekeeper of all media being posted on YouTube. Like I did a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, this kind of leads to like why I ended up leaving. So I originally said no in that meeting. I was like, I was in a relationship. I knew that if me going on the road was like mandatory, I was like, my relationship's gonna not be a thing anymore.
Sure.
And we were already like kind of on the rocks at that point. I was like, I'm trying to make sure that this doesn't, funny enough, it still failed. So like within like, it was like the week that they were going to basically tell me I was done, that I ended up being broken up with. And I was like, hey, so I know I told you X, Y, and Z, but that is all changed now. I am very much available to be whatever you need me to be, because I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, that's interesting you say that. We need
now that you're over a barrel, we have something to tell you.
They're like, well, we did not factor you into the equation because of what you said before.
Sure.
We're not letting you go, but unfortunately, we're going to have to make you a contractor for like 3 months until we can figure out how to bring you back in as a full-time employee. Mm-hmm. That ended up only being like a month and a half because our touring manager quit like right after the acquisition, like the most important Jomez employee that no one knows about. Maybe you've seen him on coverage. He was at his wit's end. He saw the writing on the wall. He's like, I'm done. And that's where my life became more than just, oh, I'm going to film some stuff. It was like, no, now you're going to start editing. You're going to start doing like a job that maybe 3 people should be doing. And you're going to get paid as one person doing it. And you're not going to get a pay raise for this.
So the scales really tipped the other way from
it quickly
getting
turned
way overpaid to do not enough to getting... It
felt like I was like paying a fine for the amount of time that I spent the last like year, kind of, I wouldn't say freeloading, but like having the time of my life, knowing that it was like a pipe dream and it was going to come to an unfortunate end in some way or form. And this was it happening. Yeah. I was like,
it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
I will say, in hindsight, I was very much prepared for this moment. I was like,
sure.
It was eventually gonna happen. I wasn't like blind to this, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I was like, gotta do what I gotta do. Like now I'm like legitimately doing the thing that everyone, glorifies. And I quickly found out that it's not this amazing thing that everyone, again, seeing it for the first time, without having my hands on it, I was like,
Sure.
holy shit, this is stressful.
I can't help but think about being a fan of Jomez.
Mhm.
The alternate universe where Jomez doesn't spread themselves too thin.
Sure.
I'd love to see what that looks like, where they don't go, oh, and it's no offense to you because you were a big part of bringing all these other ideas to fruition, as we say. But I would just love to see what that looks like. Because that's what it just seems like to me. And I hate to, because I am a fan. We're all fans of this idea. We are all doing exactly what they are doing all of the time, which is building businesses within a sport.
It doesn't exist. That Jomez where they don't push themselves to the break doesn't exist because we see ourselves doing that all the time because we don't want to do something halfway.
Right.
And if it takes 4 more hours and if Sheila makes, with Jason Delwood and Dragons for no reason other than to make it epic, like just to push things over the top, we're going to do it. And so I'm sure Jomez was the same way.
Right.
There was never going to be a Jomez.
There is no alternate universe.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. Like Jonathan knew like the wall was coming where like it was going to be, we're going to cease to exist because the Pro Tour is going to make it that way, or we're going to prove that we are so invaluable to them that they can't not take us.
Right.
He never intended it for it to be in the manner that it happened. And I mean, there's just sometimes just that's how shit goes. Yeah. And unfortunately it went the way it did. But so when this acquisition happened, Kevin left. He was our touring manager. Very important, like integral part of how Jomez like looks. Like he was the main like animation person. Like he created most of the graphics that we see today.
Cool.
While being the tour manager.
All while tour managing us, being on the road, filming, like doing stuff that I ended up doing, like posting all the YouTube stuff, like being the first one up, the last one to go to sleep, like that kind of shit. And he was like, and I was like, I get it, dude. I was like, I get why you're trying to leave. You almost left before this even happened. So like the fact that you stayed through it, I'm like, mad respect to you. And he's doing great. He's doing his own thing. It's fantastic. Obviously, like huge now into just the whole like transition. We're like, holy shit, what are we going to do now? Because now we're doing FPO. We're not just doing what we were doing before, which we were struggling with, which was just MPO. We're doubling our workload. We lost him. And then Joey Tamale left as well.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And so Joey
to tour.
Well, so he actually initially left to work for the Pro Tour to just do what he got hired to just do like side content stuff, like Paul Macbeth stuff. He never intended on being a film like a touring filmer, just going stop to stop, film the tournament, and that's all he's working on. And he was like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, this is what I got hired for. I want to be filming like the cool cinematic documentary stuff, which, sorry, Joey, we don't have money for. And he knew that, but like he was just like, dude, this isn't what I signed up for. And now it's getting worse. So he left. He left to become a contractor with the Pro Tour. And then quickly after the Jomez acquisition, that whole department in the Pro Tour got canned because they were like, we didn't ever factor in Jomez becoming a part of the fold this soon. We don't have money for this stuff anymore. So like some longtime contractors with the Pro Tour got canned because they were taking on Jomez. So that was a whole mess too. So like Joey was like out at that point. I was like, this is sketchy. People are dropping like flies now. Jonathan just like basically got stripped of his like role with Jomez. He became a minority owner of Jomez. Like doesn't have it. Like he still has say and they respect him, but like it just everything became different.
So when you're pouring your Fruity Loops at 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning and you're pacing because Jomez didn't upload that video fast enough of the final round and you're upset, why don't you sit back down and
take a breath,
relax?
Yeah, take a breath. Who's up and had been up for the last 26 plus hours?
Yeah,
no sleep, bags under their eyes, just like losing hair. Me. Yeah. Sitting there waiting for that video to render so I can put it up on YouTube.
Totally.
Like
catch an hour
so
of sleep.
You can leave a shitty comment on the video.
I'm having flashbacks. So I volunteered time with Jomez at 2018 USDGC with shout out to Ryan Nick, who was my roommate for a week. I rode Ryan Nick's coattails. I don't know if you know Ryan. He's a North Burbs guy.
I've heard the name. I don't know.
I'll tell you more stories when we're done, but great dude, and rode his coattails to helping Jomez at USDGC. Long story short, helped him out. It was some of the hardest work I have ever done in my professional life. It was crazy. Jonathan reached out after all was said and done and we were on the plane ride home or whatever. I had just gotten home and he was like, hey man, how do you want me to send the money to you for the week? And I was like, bro, keep that shit. Don't you dare even pay me $1 because I had a blast on your dime of getting there. You guys took care of me. I stayed in Paul Macbeth's Airbnb. Come on. Like that was enough for me. I was like, keep that dough. Give me a little shout out or whatever on one of the banners or something on one of the events, which he did do. You are giving me like Vietnam flashbacks of what it was like, not for me, because again, for me as a fan, it was fun. Right. For a week, it was fun.
Right.
But watching Michael and Jerry and Jonathan, and that was 2018. So we're talking a couple of years before where they were at that point. They were still clicking up on the roller coaster, and I was watching these guys I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they managed that amount of work in the time that they had at the most prestigious event in disc golf.
Yeah.
Where I got to say this one moment. I'll never forget it. I hope that Jonathan hears this at some point. Paul Macbeth won USDGC that year, and we're going down hole 18. I've got zero business being in the position that I am in, by the way. For that event, they said, okay, we don't really know what we're going to have you do, but we have an extra camera that we're going to put a
parabolic mic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you just try to catch all the audio. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I could do that. And we're going down the final stretch and I am behind Paul, and Jonathan looks at me with all of the fear and terror I think I've ever felt from anybody who was like in charge of the things that I was doing, and told me like, get around him and get in the front so I could catch. It was an amazing wake. But you have me totally thrown back to this week where I was like, I don't know how these guys can do. And that was the 2018 version, not the post pandemic version. And then through all this acquisition, this is so fascinating to us. I think I speak for us that, doing what we do, and that is the maybe a few levels up higher than what we do. But
I think it's funny because like 2018 when they did follow flights, we were like,
whoa,
this is
so
like that shit was so to hear you in 2021,
So mind you, also I know there's like an app now like Ace Trace or whatever, like, and everyone thinks like, oh, this is how easy doing a good follow. Wrong. You're so dead wrong. Like,
George, you are dead wrong.
Watching just one of maybe 5 that happen in one video, those take like a half hour to an hour, depending on what the shot was, like what the angles we're working with are. Because sometimes you have to improvise when the disc goes behind shit. Like, sure. I'm telling you, it's not as easy as you think it is, and I would love to see you try.
None of it is.
Also, the people that are doing it on Ace Trace is like one camera, static. It's not zooming. It's not following anything.
We're doing multicam.
Right.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And then we started adding like the overheads and the extra graphics. Like, it's just a lot. But yeah, so when people started leaving and I was taking on more responsibilities, again, didn't get a pay raise. Not in my head, I was like, damn, this sucks. Like, I really should be getting paid a lot more for what I'm doing. But I was also like, they're taking on a company that should be bankrupt. So I'm like, I can't really, I'm in like this weird position where I'm just lucky to have a job right now.
Sure.
I'm going to see how long I can last before I lose my shit, basically. And it didn't take long. Took like maybe 3 events. And I was quickly like, oh, I do not want to do this. Like, cause like I wasn't just filming and editing like one thing. I was doing like 10 different things that I never thought I would be doing all at the same time. It was not an ideal situation, and they knew that, but that's just like, dude, you're taking one for the team basically. And like, unfortunately it became the reason I left. Cause on top of that, the Pro Tour, like, now that we bought you guys, we're going to stop paying a lot of our contractors because we need to save money to afford this acquisition. So Jomez Pro as a crew is now required, mandatory, wasn't a part of the agreement when we were told like this is happening. You are all now filming Silver Series events. Figure it out. 2 of you at every event for the rest of the season. Now, these are weekends that we never planned on being on the road. These are weekends to go home. Now we're on the road with no notice. Like, we were in Portland. We were
and no break because then you're going to Silver and then hopping back on Elite.
We got told at OTB Open last year, Sam Gaddis sat us down and this isn't Sam's fault. He was just taking it from above. I just got told this. You guys got to figure it out. But 2 Jomez crew at every silver event for the rest of the season. I don't care if we figure it out week by week or you plan it all out at once, but like we need to know. Hunter and Mike stayed on the road from OTB, 2 Silver Series events in a row, then Portland Open, then Montana before they went home. So they're on the road for 5 straight weeks. Never in our contracts before this point had that ever happened. No one was ever on the road that long. At some point, you got to go home for a week in between 2 weeks in a row.
Sure.
5 weeks. I mean, didn't get to go home, didn't get to, I mean, luckily they didn't have pets, but like, there's like a lot of implications that
Sure.
Real life, man.
to just be given like no notice to figure it out. And I became part of that. I took on like the whole like Midwest swing. So I did like Mid-America. I did Kansas City Wide Open. I did Discmania Open, which was the biggest waste of money I've ever seen. No offense to that. Like, that was a really cool event. Biggest waste of time for the Pro Tour. Like, it was an unfortunate situation there where they were like, shit, we took on too much, that more than we could chew. Why silver events do not exist anymore.
Yeah.
It was not worth it to them to do a full live coverage of an event that most people are not watching.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then to send us internationally, they send us internationally. All those flights are like uber expensive to go to Prince Edward Island. It's a very small place, very small airport, talking like several $1,000s to go
Per flight.
not that far.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
like you could have paid the same amount for me to go to like Singapore. That's how expensive we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent a whole crew of us to go film a tournament where there were 7 people in the FPO field.
yeah.
Wow.
So like, it was just like a lot of like, oh my God, there's like some organizational stuff that the Pro Tour is still not figuring out. So I was like, I'm stressed out. I don't want to be doing these extra events. And like, this is what I'm being forced to go film. I'm like, dude, like, I just can't anymore.
It got to a point that anybody would.
Yeah.
Make
I was
that
just like,
decision.
in 5 years, maybe it would be like, yeah, let's do it because you're getting paid like you
Yeah.
should be getting paid.
Sure.
You're,
And the kinks are ironed out.
right.
And,
You
yeah.
actually, there's enough people where you can go home and not have to film every event because there's enough people in the rotation. Like, that's just not happening right now.
Mhm.
And again, the context people, I think people need to know is like, we're working with the same people at every event. Most of those people do not go home.
Right.
Like, they are strictly event to event. You try being not at your home, like in your own bed for
6 hours and I'm done.
dude, like do it for like 3 weeks in a row and you just lose your mind. You're like, here's another Airbnb, like that I have to stock the entire thing to make it feel like I'm at a home. Like,
There is video of this, which we couldn't always say before, but there's something in your eyes about, like, as you tell the story where it's like,
PTS is that Vietnam
Literally.
PTSD.
For real,
man.
literally.
I'm like
For
reliving
real.
it. I'm like,
I'm
oh.
like, Andy from the start of this interview to Andy now is like, you've ascended to another.
Dude.
Yeah.
But so given how it felt for you in the end and given how even intense it is for you to like bring it all
Yeah.
back up, a young person who had an opportunity to like chase like a dream job like this, that the path is unclear, I guess, what would you say to somebody like that? If you could go back to young you when this opportunity, like before you sent that first DM,
yeah.
what would you be like wanting to tell that person?
I mean, like I said earlier on, I really don't regret making the decision to do this job. Yes, I would have liked a lot of that information ahead of time, like knew some of the context to know what to expect. It's like
I
in
don't
anything,
think that
there's
they didn't
No,
have
like,
it to give you.
that's the
No,
thing.
And
It's just
I
like-
think if you had known some of the things, you may not have ever done it.
True.
You know?
That's very true. I mean,
Yeah.
if I knew it was gonna become as messy as it did,
Right.
maybe I
Yeah.
wouldn't have.
Yeah. If I knew I had to sit next to Alex every episode when we started,
Right.
Sure.
we wouldn't even have gotten
Yeah,
3
sure.
episodes
But
in.
there's a
But
lot
here
of
we are. Too
residuals
late.
of the job, like the relationships I have with pro disc golfers that
Yeah.
people, no one can take that from me now.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I have so many of these people like in my humble bragging, but like, you know, I can hit up Big Germ right now and be like, hey, what's up, dude? You want to play Wingspan tonight? And
Do
he's
it.
like down.
Prove it.
Do you, what?
FaceTime Big Germ right now. I'm 100% serious.
Wait,
Do not
what are
do
they
that.
doing right now?
Don't. No,
Do
that's
you want me to?
It's Austin.
I'm like really tempted to for the sake of this
I'm
podcast.
1,000,000% serious.
It's Austin. They're at
If you
All right.
FaceTime him and he answers,
I don't know
would be the
if
greatest
he'll
thing.
answer, but maybe he will. Let me see.
That's
Is it going to piss him
Hilarious.
off? That's the one question I have, because I don't want you to upset him.
Where is he at right now? Is he back home?
No, they're in Austin right now.
They're in Austin, so that's in
Same time as us.
zone.
Same time as
Yeah,
us.
same time. It's 9:23. He's still up.
This might be looking into the future because we're going to be spinning the wheel here soon which might have there's a phone a friend.
Anybody have big germ? No, nobody's got big germ.
Did I speak too soon? I can at least do it this way. It's not the same, but it's sort of like, I mean, it's still like a video call. So
Wait, when
but will he answer me is the
if
more
he
the
answers,
question.
actually just give the phone to Jason. I want to.
No. I don't want
wanted to
big
be like,
germ.
who are
no.
you?
I mean, if he
is
doesn't
this?
pick up, he doesn't
Hello?
Hello?
What have you done with Andy?
Yeah.
Looking for. I can see.
I mean, he's
your
probably
eyes.
doing something. I mean, what today's Thursday night?
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't believe it.
They
you're
just
even making
did
the call.
their
yeah.
they just did their practice round. What, this morning
he's
or
not gonna
whatever?
pick up.
Yeah, it's all
Well,
right.
you know what?
You
Scratch it. I tried.
It's-
I love that you tried.
Yeah,
Mad
very
respect
funny
for
that you
trying.
tried.
You made me very nervous.
Yeah.
No, I really did.
I don't like
Ryan
that.
gets
Germ,
so
hi,
nervous.
hi, germ.
His number's
Germ.
probably like
Germ.
in my messages somewhere, and I just never. had
Anyway,
it.
so
Yeah.
Whatever.
you would definitely
I've
take
never
the
needed to call him for a reason.
for
Yeah.
everything you got out of it. You
Usually,
would do it
like
all
we
over
Instagram
again.
DM. That's probably why it's just never left there. But yes,
You would do it all over again.
Yeah, the people I've met, the things I got to see, the amount of pro disc golf courses I got to play. Just like I can't say I wouldn't want those things to have happened to me.
Sure.
It sounds to me like you got 10 plus years of experience in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And the
Felt
value
like
of
10
that,
years.
the value of that,
Yeah, not even. I mean, the value of meeting all the people, but like the value of watching a business growing really rapidly, and how to avoid some pitfalls,
Right.
and like
learning
dude,
what
yeah,
not
it's
to do.
Huge,
Shit. That's huge.
priceless.
All due respect, but
Mhm. Yeah.
that's a part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell my younger self to still do it.
Mhm.
I think I would just say proceed with caution. You know, just like don't be as bright eyed, bushy tailed as you are right now. Which I mean, it didn't last super long, but still, like, just be a little bit more realistic about what you're saying.
When you're 25, 26 years old, 2 years is a super.
Yeah,
time.
you are
Sure.
allowed
For sure.
to be unrealistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally.
Man, that's wild. It's very cool to have the context. I mean, we knew it was hard, even just as a
mhm.
hearing from Sean and hearing from Doc and hearing from some of the other people that I've talked to in the disc golf media world. I had an idea. It's nothing compared to what was really going on. This is just priceless insight. So, man, sorry you went through the tough parts,
No,
but
no.
like to get through all that led you to being able to be on this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
Which,
so
I mean-
far the pinnacle
I mean,
of your
yeah.
career. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I wouldn't have been this wouldn't have happened if I didn't leave the pro tour.
That's
Because
true
like
too.
I would be in Texas right now, for example,
With bags under your eyes.
had bags under my eyes. Like, no, I mean, I'm very grateful for the decision I made to leave. Because I think the biggest thing people forget is that when you're in it, disc golf stops becoming your like passion in life. It starts to become a job, which then you start to resent, and then you start being like, I don't like disc golf anymore. And that was also a deciding factor. Is like, I'm starting to hate the thing that I love. And I mean, any of those people will admit, like, yeah, you get there. Like, let's see how long you last before you literally hate watching disc golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Though there's something to be said about, if you can do your passion for your job, then you quote unquote never have to work a day in your life. But if it's exploited, then now your passion's
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, most disc golfers, I mean, the biggest decision making they have is which beaten Firebird are they going to throw?
right.
Yeah.
And so like to put a perspective like that on how much of that is the sport that they love.
How much of that has to happen in order for us to know that the only thing that they have to worry about is which beaten Firebird they're going to throw?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
The amount of Andys that have to have bags under their eyes for 5 weeks at a time is just
Yeah.
what a cool
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. That's
You
fascinating.
need to write a book, bro. For real.
That would be sick.
Write a book.
All right. That does feel like a good place to put a cap on the gin and juice. And I think then it's a good time for us to get into the old mailbag.
Does that mean that it's
Mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time.
mail time?
That was good.
Hell yeah.
Good shit.
That was
good.
good.
I
Take
felt
us
right.
into the mailbag.
You got
A
it.
lot of Blue's Clues growing
Yeah.
up.
Here's a question from Tom Samborski. No, I'm just kidding. Our first question is from Tom Samborski, and he wants to know what part of our lives do you think deserves to be rewatched in a slow mez? I think that's
Yeah, that's
fascinating.
Such a good question.
Yeah.
Alex, let's start with you.
I'm sure there's a way better answer, but the first thing that came to mind for me is I was playing catch with a football in a yard somewhere, and I was like looking over my shoulder to catch the ball, so I wasn't looking at the ground. I stepped in like a gopher hole or something and like sprained my ankle, and I'm sure like my face was like, in so much agony, and then I fell, and then while I was like just about to hit the ground, the football also then hit me in the face. That all in slow motion, I think, would be really fun.
Double
to watch.
pain.
Yeah.
Double pain. Yeah.
To the sound
Love
of
it.
a slow motion tuba.
Sure.
Right.
Wait, isn't slow-mo usually like when you did something really cool?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
technically.
really biffed that then.
That would have been a Nomez.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Which is all
Oh.
technically in slow motion at times.
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
dude, when you won the smooth,
My first win?
yeah,
I'll take that in a slow-mos for sure. That is mine, actually. Yes.
hell yeah,
Thank you for that.
yeah.
My first dub.
Andy?
I would say mine would be my first ace in disc golf. So we never got into this because we were talking about media, but I did build a disc golf course back home in New York. It's on a ski resort.
In all your
And-
free time.
In my free time.
Yeah.
Good lord,
And the course had been open for a couple months, but we kind of did a celebration of we did like a little Indiegogo to help fund some of it. So we were like, hey, part of you being a part of like this happening, we're gonna put on like a free food and all that kind of shit. Come play disc golf and then like celebrate. And so we did like a mob round to celebrate. We're on hole 2. It's like 290 feet, big dogleg right in the woods. Can't see the basket off the tee. There's like 15 people just standing behind this tee pad.
sick.
And I just right in the basket. And like I ran off the front to watch the disc because it felt good. And then I just threw my hands up before it went in the basket and just started running. And everyone's like, no way. They hear it. And there's like a shaky video that someone took. It's super terrible quality, but like everyone's just like
Still.
hooting and hollering, like running down
That's
the fairway.
a slow mez,
It
baby.
would have been
Yeah, that's definitely
really
slow
sick in
That's
slow
sick.
motion.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
I have one. I'm going to make it very quick, but I was at a bar at home with my dad and my brother, which was very rare occurrence.
Mhm.
And the bar was packed.
You son of a
And-
bitch.
This is a Jolene.
This is a
No,
Jolene.
this is Jolene.
It is not. It is not.
Is my brother Joe there?
No.
No?
So
Is there a railing in the story?
across, like it's a square-ish bar with the bartender in the middle. The other end or other side of the bar are friends of my dad and my brother who I vaguely know. And the whole time we are there for hours, they are wadding up napkins and paper and trying to throw them at us, right? And they are getting across the bar, like joking around, like having a good time and throwing pretzels and shit. I don't participate in any of it. We're just screwing around. And at one point I get up and I start walking away to the bathroom and I have a crumpled up napkin that had just been thrown at me and no looked left-handed, threw it across the bar and it landed in the middle landed right in his beer glass. And I swear to God, 85 people in that bar lit up like it was the 4th of July.
They watched it from the beginning.
And I just kept walking to the bathroom because I knew, like, I could feel it, just like you knew, like when you put your arms up to run with that ace, I was like, if I just keep walking, it's going to look so much cooler. Just keep walking. And I came back out and I have never had so many drinks offered to be purchased for
Hell
me.
yeah.
That's
Like
awesome.
I could have had 85 beers. It was so funny.
Cool
So
guys don't look at explosions, man.
right. Yeah. So
Just walk away from him.
it's such a stupid moment, but if I could have seen that like movie style, like no look, just toss it and walk away. If I could have seen that in slow-mo, it would have been the
Yeah.
greatest.
That's great. And the first thing I thought of once you started telling that story was Sean hitting Sheila with the acorn.
Yeah, right.
That would have been a good slow
Wait a
mez, too.
second. Wait a
Now that you
second.
say that.
Back up.
Can I change my answer,
Sheila's
please?
eyes just
Bonk. I can still hear the acorn. I can still hear it.
Oh, I want to hear that sound in slow
Oh,
motion.
God.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we got
good.
another trip planned.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to find some acorns.
Plenty of
Bet there
acorns.
will be an acorn. Mine would be my birth. All right, let's move on. Wow. Jason Allen has the next question, like a baby coming out of a vagina in slow
Yeah.
motion. Yeah, that'd be very funny. Were there any professional players who were especially kind to you? This is Jason Allen question. I don't know if I said that. Did anyone go out of their way to thank you or do something nice for you when you were there? on
Clearly
tour?
not Big Germ.
Right.
Because you didn't pick up.
Yeah, fuck Germ. No, I love Germ. I would have to say Brian Earhart. I mean, I think he's someone I've built like one of the closer relationships with.
I'm sorry, who?
Brian Earhart.
I'm just kidding.
Brian Bear.
Not familiar.
I think he was here one time, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he's from here, maybe. No, we tried to acquire his show in my days as the podcast person, and the logistics just didn't work out.
I remember him
we
talking
did not
about it,
have
yeah.
the money for what we wanted to do with that show, and I
Yeah.
was the one who was like, "Hey, you have to talk with Brian and figure out how we're going to acquire it, but also we don't really think we're going to be able to acquire it, but still talk to him and make that connection." And so it was like me becoming friends with Brian, but also raising his hopes up and then letting them down a bunch, but being like the middleman. And eventually we got to work together on Catch, which
is awesome.
I got to film.
One of the
and
coolest things to come from all of that.
Unfortunately, I did not get to edit any of it because I got furloughed at the last second. I was supposed to be the person producing the whole thing, and that never came to fruition. But Brian has said some of the kindest words to me about working with me and like what I've brought to the table. And he, through just kind of me, got to see what I did and everything that. And he's just become like a really great friend. So yeah, I would say Brian Earhart is just like upper echelon of like, yeah, he's just one of the nicest people.
For everything that you just told us in your story, for you to say that afterwards refills my heart meter up completely.
Yeah.
That is such an awesome thing to hear. I love that.
Yep. Next question. This one comes to us.
What was that? Just throwing your hair back?
Yeah. Long hair. They had to get out of the way.
Shailene flashback.
This question was submitted via our email, and it comes to it comes from Lauren Lakeberg herself, and she is hitting us with the hard-hitting questions. She wants to know, when you open a patch of Chuckles, what side do you start on, red or green? From left to right, it goes red, yellow, black, orange, green, and do you even eat the black ones?
I take offense to that.
First of all, 100% on them. I love black licorice.
Oh, that's second to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it gets so much hate. I love black licorice. So of course, you're going to eat the black one.
I mean, second to last because I eat the gross ones first and then save the best ones for last.
Being black, then red?
Yeah, 100%.
Right, obviously. So then for you, you're starting on the green
side. Or yellow.
Right,
and then
you're going to do green, orange, yellow, black, red.
Green, yellow, orange, black, red.
Fair enough.
I don't think I've ever had a Chuckle in my life.
I don't know what it is, and I don't
even know what kind of candy a Chuckle is.
Flavored jelly squares
wish
that
we
have
had
like
some.
I was going to say, didn't you
on them? Do you want me to go get the pack?
Yes, I do. Very much so. I thought you were going to
try one on.
Yeah, I thought this would have happened by now.
BRB.
BRB.
I was going to say, I hope no one gets mad at me for not knowing what it is. But
I can't even
is this like
picture.
a Midwest thing?
You've seen them at every Ace Hardware in the aisle.
Chocolate.
Like,
oh my God, I have seen those.
Can I hold that up, please?
That just like opened like a weird memory.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Of me never picking it up and being like, I want it.
Yeah, your dad was always probably like, nah, put that down.
You don't want that.
Okay. So that's just those colors. There's not multiple. In my mind, it was like
no, it's
4
always
yellows,
one of
4
each.
greens.
No,
Yes,
no.
Always those colors, always in that order.
Yeah. Do I get to start?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
ASMR.
Do it
Actually,
more.
if you really want to get into the Lauren Lakeberg of it all while he's doing that. So there is a company that supplies these yellow boxes of candy to companies that they just come and replenish it like once a month. Basically, there's a slot for you to put $1 in there. And you have all these candies. You'll see them
It's
at
like a Lions Club thing.
Yeah, exactly. So they came around to the shop, and I have one of these. It's like a vending machine, but it's just a cardboard box that has chips and cookies and candy bars and all this different stuff in it, right? The guy came today to replenish and has never put Chuckles in it. But today, he put 2 packages of Chuckles in the box when he was there. And I was like,
quit, Jay.
oh. Like, we knew this question was coming because it was submitted via email and we had discussed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, in the most Lauren way possible, Chuckles presented themselves to me when I knew we were recording tonight. And I was like,
You might be clairvoyant.
okay, I guess I'm bringing the Chuckles.
Mm-hmm.
She's the Oracle, man.
And just, of course, the green one is the one that's left, which was literally the last one that I wanted to eat. Because I wanted the black licorice and... Yep, I knew it.
Because he took the red one.
Sorry.
I knew it. All right, I'm eating green. But I'll
Is
do it later.
it like
It's really on theme.
mint? What is green?
No, it's probably lime.
Lime?
Green is lime.
Lime.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was
Can
spearmint,
confirm.
green would be first.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next question.
Incorrect.
Our last mailbag question is going to come to us from J3P. If you know, you know.
J3PO?
J3PO.
I think he
you know
would
he's
just
listening.
get such a boner for what you just said.
I heard it.
That was all for you,
I can hear it
Doc.
from here.
I heard it.
J3PO.
Future boner. Yep.
Yep.
This is for Andy. He wants to know, what does the song at the start of Jomez practice round say? It's something like, yeah, you can't throw. You can dance, Mike. Go, go, go. Not
the
Andy's
practice round.
specialty, I suspect, but as he is part of the Jomez extended universe, I thought he might know.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but it is, yeah, you can throw. Hold up. Let me listen to it real quick because it's been told to
I
me
don't think
before.
I've ever heard this.
Yeah,
And
You have.
maybe I'll.
I just listened to it hours ago.
You remember when they like kind of changed their graphics and it was like shapes falling into like a
for
circular
the practice
thing?
round?
Yeah.
For the practice rounds?
But all I can think of is the.
Yeah.
That's
No,
all
no,
I can.
no.
That's the only music I can think
No,
of.
it's at the very beginning of the.
I don't watch enough coverage. Even now that we have a fantasy league, I'm still not watching enough coverage. Hopefully, I get there.
Here it is.
Never heard.
It's
that
just
before.
really not coming to me. It's been told me like once. I really hate to let everyone down, but I don't.
Cancel the second episode
Yeah.
that we were.
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
It was,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
all
yeah.
hinging on that, buddy. Way to go.
J3PO is going to be
sorry. Yeah,
sorely.
It's gonna
Failed the
be-
interview.
My God.
These are
I
not the
can-
droids you're looking for.
I can hear his
I feel like
boner
that's
slowly
some like
deflating.
Jomez lore that I should know, and I
Yeah.
just.
Just DM us when you find out.
And that mailbag is closed until
Does it got
next
ties and a zipper?
episode.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
it a zip tie?
Yeah, there's actually a clasp that part doesn't make noise. It's
Oh,
three.
okay.
It's three locks. It's
Yeah,
a tie,
okay.
a zipper, and then a clasp. But yeah.
Very secure.
All right, that is a wrap on the mailbag. Listeners who contribute to those, we love you. Thank you so much for that. We are going to move it along to the last portion of this episode, which is the Fantasy Frisbee Analytics Reconnaissance Tournament results from the week.
So since our last record, we had Waco.
All right, let's have Sheila hop on the mic.
Is it wet?
Just dripping
Orange sweat over there.
All right. I don't think we need to talk through not a lot of it, but like highlights, right? So what were the results and what is going to lead to spins, basically?
Yeah. So last week we only had one spin, or last episode we only had one spin because of chess.com. There was only one loser, which was, of course, Alex. New shit has come to light, though. At Waco, there have been several penalty situations which result in wheel spins, as well as an ace, which results in all the rest of the team captains having to spin the wheel. So there are multiple spins.
If one of our alt players that's not active that week aces, does that rule still apply?
No.
I'm going to say they have to be
Because they're not
active.
in.
They have to be activated.
Yeah.
No,
Got it.
but my friend, you got in the alt department, you got what we say host.
Yeah.
Host.
So I will say
183 points
We will
from your
be,
alt boys, dog.
We will make our comeback. Eric Oakley, do not worry. You are so much better than what we saw on the scoreboard this week. Don't even think about it again, bro. We're good.
So to recap quickly, in last place, obviously, is Team Tailwind with a total of 261 points. Yeah, he had a couple alts. Heimberg and McMahon weren't even signed up. So he was doomed from the start. And then Team Deucer was right behind. Well, not right behind. She was almost exactly 100 points less than that.
Thank you, Eric Oakley.
Yes.
Yeah.
With
100 points
She
worse
was an,
Yeah.
she was an Eric Oakley above him.
exactly.
Jesus.
So she had 163, and then Team Callahander came in with 153,
Not great.
and then Team Jaylene with 61.
61, baby.
But Team Contentious Toad
Right.
with 54 total points
Pretty
for
incredible.
the round, including above rating bonuses, which we all got. We all seem to get a bunch, except Alex, but it doesn't matter.
I got two.
You got two. So the total scores right now are from last to first. Team Tailwind 437, Team Callahander with 303, Team Deucer with 273, Team Contentious Toad with 203,
You got me by a hundy?
and Team Jaylene with only 100.
such a
so
jack
much
off.
I have
You're
4 times
such
more
a
points
jack
than
off.
you. That's
Andy,
ridiculous.
just for reference, he doesn't know who any of these people
Nope.
are.
He doesn't disc golf.
I just, I've said it, but I chose my team just based off Instagram vibes. I was just looking up random people, and I was like, nah, he seems like
First
like
week,
too
he
broy.
picks
This guy's
Evelina
cool.
Solonen
Yeah.
for chess.com, and she destroyed it. So that's where we're at. But let's get into the nitty gritty because Anthony Barella aced
Yes.
part of Team Deucer. So
Right.
that means everyone but Sheila has to spin that wheel.
That's right.
But Paige Pierce, who is also on Team Deucer, happened to take a 12 on hole 17 in the second round. So she will be spinning the wheel because she scored more than a quadruple bogey on a hole. And also Matt Oram, who is on Team Jaylene, scored a 9 on that very same hole, I believe. So he will be spinning the wheel. And Alex will also be spinning
Just
that
because
wheel.
I'm in last place.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of spins to get through.
2
so-
spins for me, 2 spins for Jason.
Yeah, and the rest of us get one.
Cool.
Yep.
We're all really hoping for tiny.
We're going to
wheel.
see Tiny
Oh,
Wheel
2
today.
spins for or no, she's just got one. That's,
Yeah.
that's right. She's got one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have Malort?
Of course, I have the bottle.
Yeah.
She's the
Run
Deucer.
deck.
She's got
All right.
everything
Okay,
we need.
Let me get it.
Let's do it.
I don't know
Here
if the
we
shot
go.
glasses are still up there, but
Yeah.
Tiny wheel.
I can't see it. I'm so
Tiny
excited.
wheel. Tiny.
It's red.
Oh,
It's red?
yes.
Wait, this is for me.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So red does not mean Tiny Wheel.
No.
No, it sure doesn't.
What is
But
it?
your voice is going to be pitch shifted
Yeah,
for the
I
rest
can't
of
wait.
this.
Starting
episode.
right
So
now.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not that much of the episode left.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Keep talking
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. I'll be a good sport here, and I'll say a couple things to just keep it interesting.
Well, why don't you?
Well, you have a
spin-
second spin,
Why don't you
so-
spin that
Oh,
you
wheel a
want me to
second
spin back
time?
All
to
right.
back?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we
for
have
sure.
to
All right, here we go.
chant tiny wheel, tiny wheel, tiny wheel, tiny.
No.
No.
Oh.
It's not blue. It's green, but you have to stand the rest of the episode.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, so now I look taller, but I think I sound smaller.
Yeah.
That's right. You sure do.
You sure
You're
will.
a weirdo.
Or will
Yeah.
he? We
All
will
right,
see.
just pass it around
Yeah.
since
I-
you're right there, Ryan.
Yeah.
You
Honestly,
You guys
I'm
get a
gonna
spread
go
there.
here.
Yeah.
Just
Your
leave it
next
right
spin.
there.
Leave it
Yeah.
there. Yep.
Okay, I just need to go to red, right?
And
Okay,
Yeah.
ready?
Yeah.
Tiny wheel, tiny wheel, tiny wheel.
Oh, you were so close.
Hmm.
You get to
What
wear
happened?
the hat of shame for the rest of the episode. Yeah. Give him the
What's
Give
the
him
hat
that.
of shame?
Oh, we don't.
give him that big
Okay,
old
all right.
Nugan boost.
The Noggin Boss is the hottest hat that has ever been
Get
made.
to sweat it out.
All
I
right.
couldn't even wear that if my head would be
Yeah.
touching the ceiling.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
so
you look
All right.
totally normal right now.
somebody better get Tiny Wheel, or I'm gonna be pissed.
With all these spins.
I
spinning
remain
Yeah.
confident that it's not going to
Let's
happen.
go.
till
All right,
last.
All right,
ready?
here we go.
Tiny wheel, tiny wheel, tiny wheel. I can't see.
So close.
Oh, what am I doing?
I don't remember. I don't remember what this
You
is.
landed on 100% goob.
Oh, so you get referred to as goober for the rest of the episode.
That's
Oh, nice.
Your name is
That's
Goober.
not a bad.
We have to do this from the beginning.
survivable.
Yeah, we need to do
it's
this
survivable.
earlier to make
Yeah.
these
Good spin,
punishments
Goob.
funnier.
Next episode, we'll do
All
it
right.
first.
All right.
Not a bad spin though, Goob.
All right.
Yeah, good job, Goob.
Good job, Goob.
Here we go.
Did
First
we ever
spin.
explain that? No.
Tiny wheel, tiny wheel, tiny wheel.
No.
It's blue.
Oh, I have to pass the hat of shame off to you.
Oh, son of a.
See, so I only wore it temporarily.
How convenient.
Nice and wet.
I can
Yeah.
feel that I'm going to get the
Already.
most bullshit thing.
You're
all
gonna
you
get-
guys.
Here.
Yeah.
Pee pants.
Yep.
Oh,
All right. One
Okay.
more spin.
Yep. Ready? Go.
Let's hear it.
Tiny wheel, tiny wheel,
Please.
tiny wheel,
Please.
tiny
Oh, damn it.
It's
and
Bird Box.
Bird Box. You have to go blindfolded the rest of the episode.
Jeez,
Yeah.
just take your glasses off.
Yeah.
No. Just pull the hat down so you can't see anything.
Yeah, put the hat on backwards, upside down. Yeah. There
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should have
You
saved
look like
the
Fred
mailbox.
Durst.
That's
Oh.
good.
He has Noggin Boss on over his eyes
Like
right
it?
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
Oh,
like there's
that's
not
good.
enough opportunities to
Really?
call a goob by
Goob.
his proper name.
I'll just try to do gooby shit, and then you'll be prompted.
Yeah, we should have done this before mailbox so that Jason would have had to read the mailbox.
Yeah, that would have been pretty difficult to do.
God, you look like Lord Helmet with that thing on.
One.
Yeah.
There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry. Lone Star.
2.
Everything that's happening now is happening now.
Yeah.
What you're seeing
3.
is happening now.
Go ahead.
That wasn't even all the way around. My God. Price is Right rules.
Other way.
This way?
Yep.
Tiny wheel. Tiny wheel. Tiny wheel.
What?
It's blue.
Sprites.
It's the Sprite challenge.
What is that?
Gotta chug an entire Sprite without
You're
burping.
going to throw up.
Yeah,
Do you
she's
have
gonna
it?
throw
I'll
up.
get it. I'll get it.
Tonight is the
What?
night that Sheila
What
throws
is
up.
this one?
Do you have the tiny things of 7-Up?
A whole 20 ounce
It's
of
not.
Sprite
It's a normal can.
without
Oh, it's just
burping.
a can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, that's still tough.
No.
What is that? Is it like a 2 liter or something?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 1
Oh,
liter.
it's like the 1 liter. Yeah,
Mm.
the 32 ounce or whatever.
What was that sound?
That was a can of Sprite,
I have to finish this all in one. Yeah.
but you can't burp. You,
There was
you
the
don't have
very
sound of a
funny
can
effect.
of Sprite coming down the stairs.
Stairs.
Wow. What a hole.
you don't have to chug it, but you can't burp. Yep.
She can
I feel
burp
like you have to
before,
chug it.
just not after. Is she doing it?
No, but we're all flipping you off and you can't see it.
Oh,
I feel like you
Sounds
have to
about
chug
right.
it.
I can't. I'm already
Give
getting
it a
like
try.
the syrup.
You gotta try.
the syrupy.
That's like the syrupy.
Let's move that wheel. It's covering the view.
How does it look? Is it funny? Is it at least, does it look funny what she's doing?
Chugging
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
God, you would love to know.
Yeah.
Don't tell them how it looks. No one describe it.
Hey, Goob, tell them how it
Quiet,
looks.
Bird Box.
Shut up, Bird Box.
I'm allowed to
All I can
talk.
see
I
is
just
your
can't
teeth.
see. This is really pushing on my eyeballs, though.
Just keep rolling. It's fine.
The chocolate starfish.
And the hot dog flavored water.
This is terrible.
Chug it.
It's
Chug.
coming.
Yeah.
Chug.
It's coming. It's
Why is
coming.
it terrible?
I know
You're
my
just
wife.
drinking
She
at
can't
a normal
chug.
rate right now.
Yeah, she can't. This isn't even punishment.
She's
Drink it
silently.
faster.
She's doing silent burps, so we
You want me
can't.
to
Yeah.
throw up?
This is
Yes.
tiny
I
wheel.
don't want you to throw up. I want you to have to throw
The
up.
listeners
Yeah.
want you to throw up.
Oh my god.
This is,
I feel like I'm gonna float away in like Willy Wonka.
Fizzy lifting drinks.
don't burp, Sheila. Don't burp.
You stole fizzy lifting drinks.
You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I said, "Good day, sir."
One more.
Almost done.
That is the fastest I've ever seen her drink anything.
Wow.
Done.
In Sheila's
Oh, is she
world,
done?
that is a chug.
And now you're allowed to burp, or what's the rule?
I don't know.
No.
No.
Can't.
No, I can't.
Can't burp.
She can't
So
burp
I'm
for the
gonna
rest
die.
Oh.
of the episode.
Cool.
Do you feel like you need to burp?
Yeah.
Her eyes are glistening with carbonation.
Yeah.
I can see it.
There's bubbles coming out of
Hey
her
Jay,
ears
what is
now.
it? What does it look like?
I don't know. Got the stupid knocking boss halfway down my head.
They're gonna go to bed, and at like 2:30 in the morning, Goob's gonna be woken up
Yeah.
and like with like the most horrendous
Rumble.
burp. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
All
we
right.
did it.
All right. Well, that's
so,
it.
Team Tailwind's got some ground to make up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did we settle on the idea of a redraft halfway through this thing, or
Nope.
is that TBD?
We haven't settled on anything. I'm enjoying the view.
I'm loving that Eagle McMahon and Kelvin are not showing up, and you have to use alts.
I'm sure things will balance out as the season goes on, but I just think the draft is so fun. It would be cool to do it again, given what we've learned about our players over the course of the season.
I think that we did mention
Sure,
that
that's fair.
maybe we could shuffle and then get like one fresh pick, or talk about a possible trade. We mentioned trades.
Trades would be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that
So-
would be a fun spot on the wheel. Would be like between episodes. Am I even facing the microphone?
You are, but you do look like Lord Helmet for sure.
You look like a deep squall.
Yeah, I
Oh my
really
god.
Hey, look, Calvin
This is-
Heimberg
awful.
What?
is on the roster.
Okay.
I do not see
For Austin?
Yeah, I don't see Eagle, but I may have missed him.
Andy, FaceTime him. Let's see if he's going to play.
Yeah.
Eagle was saying he's not. Eagle's not going to play until April. Is that when this next event is?
Oh, could be. No, this next it
that's-
starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So,
So-
Eagle's first event isn't
You're
until like April 4th.
Yeah.
It's all right. I got Eric Oakley, baby.
Yeah.
I may not be able to see right now, but the view from first place is mighty nice.
Shut up.
God, I wish you were the one getting called
Accidental.
goob right now.
Accidental.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can't see.
Well, hopefully,
I made notes for my team. I think that's what we should do moving forward.
What kind of notes are we talking about?
I'll read them real quick. Here we go. Gannon Burt is the new GOAT. He won.
Oh, that's
Paul Macbeth and Katrina Allen continuing to let me down. Love you, but get your poop in a group. Chris Clemens with his worst ever Waco finish costs me 52 points. I looked that up.
well, that's because he's
Worst
throwing
ever by
discraft now.
quite a few. Missy Gannon taking her second best finish ever at Waco. Parker Welk, my wild card, has done dick and took 64th place. Thanks for that, Parker. Really appreciate you. And Lucky Lorenzen was close. I was really hyped because I thought she was going to, and then I remembered our rules was top 5 for FPO.
Yeah, because there's only 40 of them or so.
You are the only person that took notes, huh?
I think we should all take notes.
That's
I mean,
kind of a
I know-
goober move, if you ask me.
I had a
Everybody
1-3
should have to-
finish with the women, so
I think the notes should have to rime. I'll even one up it.
I actually do think we should all be taking notes on our players for the segments.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun.
Or at a minimum, maybe DMing them on Instagram to let them know what team they're
That
on.
was
Shout out.
that was cool that
Shout
you.
out Owen Scoggins, who got
Yes.
back to me and said that
Sounds
she was,
good.
Sounds good.
He said, sounds good, but to me,
I think that she maybe thought that you were special needs. And was like,
for sure.
job,
But,
yeah.
She's
but
such a nice
what
girl.
I read when she said sounds
Yeah.
good was that she is very excited to be part of Team J League.
Yeah.
So,
What did your
That's
message say to her, though?
well, I'd love to read it, but I
Did you
can't
mention
see
anything
her.
about how you mispronounced her name like 3 times?
No,
in a
never
week?
would I do that.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
But was it basically like, hey, I host this podcast. We're doing a thing. You're on my
Yes.
team.
Yes.
And she was like, okay, special
Yes.
boy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Okay, Goob. All right. All right. Well, unless there's any other big pressing things we want to talk about this round of our league.
No, I won't stand for it.
I was going to say the only pressing things currently is this hat pressing on the inside of my eyeballs very hard. So let's wrap it up before I go blind.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I hate how my voice is going to sound this
Yeah.
part. Like the sign off should be a little bit more serious. Damn it.
Nah.
Thank you guys for listening and contributing, especially mailbag questions. We love that. Thanks for all the interactions on socials. Let us know how you guys feel about the league format. And if we're not going to listen to your feedback, but we are curious. Until next time.
Don't forget to thank Andy for being
I
here
was just
tonight.
about to.
Okay.
Andy, thanks for being here, man. This is the kind of insight we were never going to get anywhere else. So it's just awesome, and I can't wait for people to hear it. And I think we will have you back in the future at some point.
Real quick, before we take off, Alex, can you just real quick name the names of the 3 famous chipmunks, please, for me? What were their names?
Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Very good. Thank you. All right, that's all I needed.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, guys. Until next time, keep it on the fairway.
See you.
Y'all be good.
I can't see you. Unstable Discourse is produced by Sheila Callahan. Edited by Ryan Fancher. Beats provided by Alex Seminary. And produced in association with Unstable Disc Golf Gear. Look good, feel good, play good.
Unstable Discourse is a Top Secret Studios production. You already know.
I don't want you to throw up. I want you to have to throw up.